Some may find the following disturbing. Discretion is advised.
In a world full of podcasts, you love Chicago Bears podcasts. Sometimes you so badly wish that you could be a part of the show. You must be sick and tired of typing your words into a keyboard. You have been stuck in the chat zone. Your voice matters. Why not use it? Well, now is your chance on Bears Barroom Open Mic Night, where you are the show.
Welcome to the very first Open Mic Night on Barroom Network. We're calling it Bears Barroom Open Mic Night for nostalgic reasons. We have Nomad and I on the show tonight, have our special guest Swifty from the Swift Sports Network.
What's up, guys?
As well as J2K. And J2K is from chat. Swifty's been in chat. Swifty's been a busy man. But this whole show, the whole premise of this show is to involve you guys from chat. We want you guys to be the show. So we're going to have a great show tonight with Swifty as our main guest of honor for the kickoff show. He's a busy guy. J2K from chat. Let's just go forward. How you doing, buddy?
Good, man. Glad to be on the show.
Glad to talk to you again. Nomad, how you doing, buddy?
Man, up in the bar room, drinking, about to cause a disturbance up in this motherfucker. We got J2K and Swift stinking ass sitting on the sidelines waiting to play. Let's get in here, man. We can throw some red meat in the middle of the floor and let people get after it, man.
Swifty's been enjoying himself. Swifty, how are you doing tonight, buddy? Thanks for
great,
joining.
man. I'm great. I'm just staying busy, ready for the combine. So much stuff going on right now. Like, it's wild.
Dude, tell us about how you've been staying busy. What's going on in your world, man? You're a busy dude.
I mean, today, all day, there was information coming out. I mean, all 32 GMs had press conferences today, and then every defensive lineman and linebacker had press conferences today. And some of them, like, you watch them once and, like, you don't get everything from it and you miss some of it. So a lot of the guys, you got to go back and watch it twice so you can really see what they said, because a lot of guys were asked about the Bears, and it's really hard to hear the interviewers asking the questions, so you can't really tell what they're asking sometimes, so that they're just answering questions that you don't even know, so you got to go back and listen again. But just watching all those interviews again and then watching tape, I mean, there's just a lot. The NFL draft is exciting. There's potential we're going to trade this picks really soon. Like, I mean, I'm excited. I couldn't be more hyped about it.
Which one of those interviews stuck out to you?
Lucas Van Ness a lot. I mean, he's dating Cole Kmet's sister.
Oh shit, for real?
Yep, yeah. He's dating Cole Kmet's sister. He said he grew up a Bears fan. He said he interviewed with the team. He loved the vibe. There was a lot of connections there. Like, he said he'd love to be a Bear. He grew up a Bears fan. Like, so. And he's a guy just climbing up draft boards that a lot of guys are mocking in the top 10. You can see my cat running around the background.
That's awesome.
She's hyper.
Is she alley or house?
House cat.
How many? You can't really have an outdoor cat, and well, maybe by where you live, but if you're up north, it's really hard to have an outdoor cat. I would love to have one in our neighborhood. Just get rid of the damn chipmunks eating up my garden.
You won't have a cat long in Florida. The alligator's gonna eat that.
That's true. So J2K, how you doing, man?
Good.
You still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
So this entire show is based on everyone in chat, and we want to give you the floor of this show to talk amongst yourselves. So we have some questions that we kind of want to just post to you guys and let you guys, talk amongst yourselves and see what you guys have to say. One of my first questions for you guys is, if Swifty, if you can still hear us.
He popped out for a second.
He's got to go roll up another blunt. What is the most important position the Bears need to address in this draft? I'll let you go first, J2K.
Defensive end. As much as I want to say 3-tech, I think we've got two positions of need with the left and right defensive end.
Mm-hmm. And anything else you want to add to that? You've got all these characters that you're always spitting out names and stuff of players that you want to see on the Bears. Like anyone in particular you want to see?
As far as like type of defensive ends, I think Lucas Van Ness. I actually think that Thule is a defensive end and not a 3-tech, or at least I want to see him build some strength to move inside. I think Addy, that's my nickname for him. I think he's a 3-tech. I think you might look at Will McDonald as a pass rushing guy that you put on the right side. I think Trey Wilson is the top guy on our list as far as a fit and stuff. Felix AU from Kansas State, he's another guy I'm looking at. He's actually the lowest rated underclassman at the combine. He was a two-star recruit. So I'm very curious how his measurables come out and stuff like that. Yeah.
Swifty, we've heard a lot about what Nomad has to say on the bar. Swifty, what's the most important position that the Bears need to address in this draft?
In this draft, defensive end is, like he said, it's one of them that I think they have to address at some point just because the class is so good. You have to, even if you sign someone in free agency, you have to draft at least one defensive end. I've said I want to see us take 2 in this draft. Doesn't have to be our first pick, but by the end of the 5th or 6th round, I want at least 2 defensive ends. And then 3-tech is probably the biggest to me. Especially with Daron Payne getting tagged, I do think Draymond Jones is probably our top target. There was a report today that the Broncos aren't going to tag him. So, I think Poles throws a bag of money at Draymond Jones. So if that happens, it could change. If we land Draymond Jones in free agency, we don't need 3-tech as much, but we'd still need to draft a D tackle. And I say we need to draft a center. I don't know if Poles is going to go out into free agency and get a center. I'm hoping he gets a right tackle. And he's thinking, Lucas Patrick can be a bridge guy this year. He can enter training camp as the starter. And if he drafts someone in the 2nd to 4th round as a center, then, that guy's got to beat out Lucas Patrick, which probably wouldn't be that hard. But if not, you got a promising rookie as your backup behind Lucas Patrick for 1 year to groom him. And the next year he takes over as a starter. So those are the positions I think we really need to draft. Probably going to get a wide receiver too. And it's also a really deep cornerback. So we could take a corner at some point too. Don't overlook that. Poles loves corners.
Just saw PJ pop in.
Let's see how he's working out here. We didn't get to check his mic or anything. Oh, that sounds a little loud. PJ, we're going to pop you in. Let's see how this sounds. PJ, how you doing, buddy?
Testing 1 2. Not bad.
Testing 1 2. That sounds pretty good, actually.
What's up, guy? How you doing?
Yeah.
What's up, Nomad? What's up, Swift?
What's up, PJ?
What's good?
What's up, J2K?
Good to see you, man.
I'm all right. Good seeing you
It's
guys
nice.
too.
It's nice to finally see your face, PJ.
Well, thank you.
So we're going around the clock here. We'll end up with you last, Nomad. PJ, what is the most important position the Bears need to address in this draft?
Okay, I'm cutting out or something.
No, looks like he's cutting out. Let's go around the clock to let's go back to you, Nomad.
It's hard to point out just one. Me, I have a defensive mind, but I also know that you gotta protect the golden goose. I think I definitely think we need to bring in some challengers to the left tackle spot. Not to say that Braxton Jones isn't capable of holding that spot down. I just don't think he's going to get the strength that he needs overnight and through one offseason. I think it's going to take a couple of them. But he definitely needs to be pushed. Somebody needs to be behind him to challenge him and let the best man win. But right tackle for certain needs to be addressed. I don't know. I'm not sure that we don't have a left guard on the roster right now. I don't think Tyree Carter he probably didn't get the look that he needs for us to really be able to determine that. So I wouldn't be surprised if they still go and get another guard in the draft and it's a depth piece or have somebody challenge Tyree Carter for a starting job. But I'm a defensive guy. That's no secret to anybody. I think defensive first, played in the 4-3, understand it well, and I know that unless they address the 3-tech in free agency somehow, they're going to have to draft one. Somewhere along the line, they've got to draft one. And the rest of those chips are going to fall in place. Somebody like Thule, somebody like Tyree Wilson. I don't think Tyree Wilson is not a 3-tech. You have to prove it to me that he's not a 3-tech. I've seen 3-tech abilities in Tyree Wilson. So
I heard you say that too, Swifty.
I did. I think he can be a 3-tech. He has the length for it. He has the power. I mean, he might have to put on 10, 15 pounds maybe, but they might like him just like that.
Turn up your mic just a little bit more.
How's that?
That's good. Maybe a little bit less.
A little bit less now. Okay, see?
There you go. Right in the middle between where there. That's better.
We like you, but not that much, motherfucker.
PJ, there's some background noise, like a television or something going on there. Can you mute that? And then we can pop it back in because it's overtaken. I muted you.
PJ got me getting used to a regular person without a suit and tie because every time I see PJ's name, it's connected to the suit and tie.
Am I back on?
Yep, you are back on.
Yeah, all right, cool.
All right. So
hey, I got a question for Swifty here.
Go ahead, J2K. What's your question?
I'm hearing that Draymond Jones wants to stay as a 5-tech. And he doesn't want to switch positions.
You heard that?
That's how he's been playing.
Where'd that come from?
It was a comment that he made or something like that.
Unless I hear him say it, I mean, I don't really want to comment on him, but I think he's a perfect fit at 3-tech. So,
well, I'm curious who would be after that
in free agency.
I don't think there's another option.
There were a couple of guys. I'm not remembering off the top of my head because I've been diving into the draft prospects, but I did a video. I mean, there's a couple guys that fit. Maybe not long-term options at 3-tech. You could, I mean, Javon Hargrave fits, but I mean, he is a little bit older. I don't know if he's one of my favorite targets personally. There are a couple other guys. What's the guy? Sheldon Rankins. He's a decent fit. And then there's a couple younger guys, but there's a lot of guys in the draft that fit. I mean, I think if you wait, whose mic is my audio messed up or
whose audio is messed up?
Not me.
I'm just checking with the chat. I got to ask. If it's me, I'll fix it.
What'd you hear?
My end too.
What are you guys hearing? What are you guys hearing in the chat? Let us know. But there's a lot of guys in the draft, trying to stay on topic. A lot of guys in the draft that fit at 3-tech. Someone mentioned the Northwestern guy, Adeboare. I sound fine. Okay, good. Keanu Benton from Wisconsin, Tyree Wilson, Lucas Van Ness. I mean, Mozzie Smith could play it. There's a lot of guys that fit, especially if we trade down and pick up extra picks. Like, we could take someone in that second round, early second round, if we get an extra pick there, that could come in and be a 3-tech.
This draft.
Have
is
you
so
checked
deep.
out Kobe Turner from Wake
Yeah, I
Forest?
have seen some Kobe. Yeah, I've seen some Kobe Turner. Yeah.
Let's get PJ.
Did
the
you
mic
see
here
the
for a
Brett
second.
Coleman interview with him?
I have not.
Check that out.
Aldo.
It's good. They do some
Forget
film
to tip
reviews.
your
The interview is awesome.
We got a $2 donation from Aldo. Wow, thank you, buddy.
Aldo, you cheap motherfucker. You cheaping the chicken.
He was just getting it right back. PJ, I want to give you the mic here for a minute, man. It's your turn. What are you thinking? What position do the Bears need to address the most in this draft? And what do you think about what these guys just talked about?
The most. I don't know. I don't think we can narrow it down to the most because I'm decided or undecided between the defensive end, the 3-tech, as well as the offensive line. I guess it depends on where we go at in free agency. I'm still of the belief that Tevin Jenkins can play right tackle. So if he can play right tackle, get the right guard from Philly that's a free agent, which I think will be cheaper than McGlinchey. McGlinchey, I think, is overrated, not as good, and he's going to cost more. So to be more cost effective, I would go with the right guard from Philly. I forget his name.
Samalu.
And then I would go with Tevin Jenkins as my right tackle. Then come draft time, now that Jalen Carter has some type of trouble going on, my first thing is always to trade back anyway. I was hoping to trade back with Houston, get a haul there. After going to number 2, maybe we can trade back again with Indy, get another haul. And then, if we're lucky, trade back again with either the Raiders or Carolina and get another haul.
Or Atlanta.
Then we can, or Atlanta, yeah. So we can then be able to stack up all these picks and then be able to address O-line, D-line, interior D-line, as well as the edge. And I'm even kind of liking that safety out of Penn State that we can probably get in the second or third.
I think we're all in agreement here that the trenches need to be built, right? And I like what you're saying, PJ, is I'm right there with you. If we could just trade down 3 times, just collect picks. I think that's the key to this draft. Just a matter of if we can do it, you know.
Yeah.
I do. Go ahead, PJ.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm good. I'm playing the background, man. I'd rather hear you guys talk.
Yeah, me too.
Well, I just think Houston, depending on how much they love a quarterback, if they really love a quarterback, we can then be able to trade. I mean, they'll jump up to try to stop anybody from jumping up, and then that can get the ball rolling. But if they're like a garage and they be content with quarterback they can get at number 2, then we probably have to change our whole way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Garoppolo has that relationship with DeMeco Ryans anyway, so I'm wondering how much are they behind the scenes working out.
Wow, hold on. I have to interrupt you guys. I'm sorry. Retro and Movies, $5 donation. Finally, the B Room is making money. Do you take food stamps? No, we do not. But thank you very, very much, Retro. That is a very kind
Retro.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate that. Sorry to interrupt you. Nomad, what were you going to say?
There's a couple of things to mention, and there's a couple of dominoes that need to fall before we start limiting what we can do in free agency and what we have to go get in the draft, because the cap casualties are just starting to happen. That's number 1. 2 is, remember, we're first in line in waiver priority. First in line. So those 2 things could probably help shape what we're looking at in the draft in, what is it, 57 days or something like that. I don't know. But that's gonna shape a whole lot of things. There's players that we are not thinking about that much or really not focused on as much that are gonna hit the wire. They're gonna be cuts. There's gonna be some good players, some really good players. It's already starting to happen. So you got that needs to happen before we start limiting what we have to get in the draft, you know?
That kind of brings me to the question of how do you feel about all these mock drafts, Swifty? Are you a mock drafter? Are you doing mock drafts right now, or do you like to wait until all the chips fall into place?
The mock draft simulators are just, how do I say it? They're just so unrealistic. Like, I mean, I don't know. I see like 10 getting posted a day. You can get on a mock draft simulator and you can trade the number 1 pick and end up with the team's next first 5 first round picks and all their second round picks and their whole draft this year. And you can also just throw some players in there and it'll do it. Like, they're just so unrealistic. I like to research the times that people have traded up for quarterbacks in history. And if you just look over those and try to see what people get, they always get more than the trade value chart shows. Like, if you look at any trade, they're getting, and then you compare it to the trade value chart. Anytime someone's traded up for a quarterback, they've given up more than that. So in any trade, as long as we get more than the basic value, like, I don't care. I want us to trade back. We need more picks. We have a lot of holes, and this is a prime opportunity to do it, especially with what happened with Jalen Carter today, because he's the guy I had ranked at number 1. We got to move back now. I think there's so much interest in it. Everybody's reporting it. So, I mean, let's get it. Trade down.
That kind of brings me to my next question is, how did you guys feel about Jalen Carter before today, and where do you stand now? I'll let you kind of start off, Swifty, since you have the floor.
I had him number 1 on my board so far. Obviously, I'm still scouting players all the way up until the draft, and I was looking forward to seeing him at the combine this week, but he's wasn't gonna do anything, and he's been pulled now, so stinks.
They pulled him from the combine altogether?
Yeah. He pulled, I read he was pulled from the combine. Yeah, so
they don't want him answering questions.
Oh shit, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, he's not there. He's gonna take care. He's got to go down, take care of that. Honestly, I don't really want to speculate too much on what it changes. I think it possibly, I mean, any question marks in the top 5 of the draft, you can slide a little bit. I think there's no way people are like, oh, he's a 2nd or 3rd rounder now. No way. This, unless something else comes out that hasn't been reported yet, and I'm not going to make things up or speculate, but unless something came out that made this way worse than it is right now, I mean, he's still probably going in the top 10. I don't see the Eagles letting him slide. If he slid all the way to 10, the Eagles are going to be like, snatch. The Lions could take him. Don Burr, if he's still out there. Like, I mean, you're smart. If you end up getting him and he's a Pro Bowl player for years, obviously if something, there's still a lot of time between now and the draft. 2 weeks until free agency, but we got almost 2 months until the draft. So teams are going to research this hard. They're going to interview him. They're going to wait for the investigation to play out. And then if he's cleared from everything and he has a great pro day, I mean, he could still go top 5. I mean,
I was just gonna say this is gonna simmer down a little bit, and in the time span you're talking about between now and the draft, if some other shit starts to spill out about his behavior, some things, then that's a problem. That's a problem. Other than that, if this is the issue, and I speak from remembering my days being 20 years old, you do dumb shit, man. You do some really dumb shit, and this one was costly. It's gonna be multi-million dollars costly. And my thing is this: before I be willing to say, you know what, that's a bad dude, I don't want him around my team, I'd be willing to see if I can put a structure and a plan in place for him. Because that dude is mega talented. He's got to grow up and start doing different shit. And that's just how it is for young people. You just got to grow up and stop doing simple-minded things that get people in trouble. You got too much money riding on the decisions that you make. And so, I mean, I'm like most people, and I'm just like, well, all right, that's a deal breaker for me. I want to see what else is coming out behind that, but I don't want to wash that dude down the toilet. He's a young man. He did some stupid shit. Let's see what happens after that.
Guys, I have to interrupt you again, but Taurine Whitfield, $9.99. Don't, man. Thanks for joining the show, Swifty. Wherever Swifty shows up, money just pours in.
Double, I see you, boy.
So Taurine is asking you, Swifty, boom, any thoughts on Lucas Van Ness saying he grew up a Bears fan and how he would fit with our team?
Yeah, man, I think that's awesome. I mean, anytime somebody grew up a Bears fan and has a chance to get picked, I think he's almost a perfect fit if we trade down. He's a guy that, I mean, he has a little bit of that Nick Bosa in him. He's talented. He played all over the Iowa defensive line. He wasn't a full-time player, but he played everywhere. He came in when they needed him. He could edge rush. He could play 3 technique. He could play 5 tech. He could bounce out to linebacker. He was all over the place. Like, he's really good. He's powerful. I think he's gonna. The combine matters a lot here, but I think he's gonna blow up the combine.
Taurine, thank you very, very much for your generous donation, man. That is awesome.
Shout out, bro.
You're making us. You're gonna make us have to start paying Swifty for this fucking visit.
Yeah, what do I get for this? We didn't negotiate here.
Hey, you know what the problem is? You know what the problem is? You know what the problem is? It's I think people forget certain things. I think you have to listen to Ryan Poles. Think about his first introductory press conference when he said, "We're going to build this team through the draft." That doesn't mean he's not going to pick up some value free agents. He's going to get some guys for sure. But I think they're into volume and getting as many players as they can get their hands on and trusting in their coaches and those teachers to be able to shape these guys up and put them in the proper position to be able to be successful. And I believe they know what they're doing there. So to me, it wouldn't surprise me that they, got out of the top 10 some kind of way. Unless there's a guy there that they feel like they had to have. It would not surprise me if they got out of the top 10 and got volume.
Before we make this the Nomad and Swifty show, I want to go around and I want to ask J2K, what do you think about the previous subject about Jalen Carter? How do you feel about him yesterday as opposed to today? Where do you think his future lands?
Yeah, I think you got to wait for the details to come out. And I think the timing is very telling. Why this happened now, right when he hits the combine, pull him out of the combine. It's kind of like the Laramie Tunsil incident. So I got to wait and see. I think young kids who are in a position like this do dumb things, and they're capable of having sports cars and kind of like making mistakes and stuff. So I kind of would be patient on this whole thing. At the same time, you got to put a red flag on the kid for right now, and you might just take guys that like are better prospects or better people.
Yeah. He just doesn't seem like a Chicago Bear to me.
What you think, P?
Give us your thoughts, PJ.
You muted, PJ.
I got him. Oh, no, I can't. He has to unmute himself. You muted yourself, buddy. Is it on your phone? Is it on the... Go on to the StreamYard app there. You can see the little mute button over your picture. You see that? No? All right, we'll give him a second. So we'll come back to him. Let's get on to the next question. I would like to know, this is kind of a loaded question, but are you in agreement with Ryan Poles that he should do due diligence on this year's quarterback prospects, or do you prefer he simply announce that he's 100% invested in Justin Fields? And I'll let you go first, J2K.
Absolutely. he's going to face these guys for the next, 4, 6, 10 years. So you want to get to know these guys and how they play and, how you're going to beat them.
Mm-hmm. PJ, looks like you got yourself unmuted. What do you think, buddy? Can you hear us?
What was the question?
The question was, are you in agreement with Ryan Poles
Yeah,
that he should do his due diligence on this year's quarterback prospects? Or do you...
What was the question?
You got a major delay there going, huh? Let's count the delay. 1, 2, 3. Yep, he's frozen. All right, we're going back to you.
Probably should pop out, PJ, right quick and pop back in.
Yeah, PJ, do this. This is what I tell everybody. Reset your internet and then hop back in. Got that?
Okay.
Reset your internet. Hop back in. Oops, I'm rooming the wrong guy. All right, Swifty.
Yes.
Or actually, it's your turn. It's your turn, Swifty. Go ahead. Are you in agreement that Ryan Poles that he should do due diligence on this year's QB prospects, or do you prefer he simply announced that he's 100% invested in Justin Fields?
I mean, you never have to tell other teams as long as exactly what he said. He said he told Justin Fields what he's doing, but you have to do your due diligence. I mean, you have to at least scout guys. That's just how the NFL works. If you say you're not going to scout them, then people will just call you dumb. So, I mean, you don't want that.
Right. Nomad?
Well, Shorty, I got to scrape the rocks together and make some sparks. You know that, right?
Of course.
I've got to cause a disturbance. I just want the whole Barroom Network to know that the only premise behind Shorty asking that question is that he would like to see Will Levis in the Chicago Bears uniform.
Fuck.
And he doesn't want Justin Fields. It's the truth. I'm sorry, guys. It's just the truth.
He's just trying to stir up controversy here.
No, honestly, it's just keeping the waters muddy.
Yeah,
is what we want to do. Is there some real business going on behind? Really, they're really studying guys and really seeing what they're capable of. But I'm pretty sure you don't want to just hand North Korea a nuclear weapon to light your ass up with, do you? Because that's what will happen if you end up trading Justin Fields. Like the only nuclear weapon that you have, you're going to give to somebody who don't like you and light your ass up.
The entire fan base would explode.
Right. I mean, no. I mean, there's nothing going to happen with Justin, man. He's going to be right here.
So let me answer Aldo's question right here. So Poles kind of said that. They asked him if he told Justin Fields what they plan to do at quarterback this year. And Poles said, yeah, that he told him. And when he said it, they asked him, I'm trying to think how he worded it again, but he basically said, they said, are you going to keep him in the loop all year? And he said, I'm going to keep him in the loop every year. You don't say that about a guy you're going to trade. Like he pretty much came out. I mean, he came out and said it. Like GMs don't say more than that. Like you show your cards a little bit, but you don't just, hey, show everything and give it all out there. Like they know what's going on. Fields isn't going anywhere this year.
So Swift, you're like me. They went between Justin, the coaching staff, between Flus and Poles, and they got together and say, hey, we got to run this game. We got to run this game, and everybody needs to be on the same page for us to run this game.
Yep. They all know the plan.
Exactly. Shorty, you got to unmute yourself, bro.
Smitty, thank you so much, Smitty. $10 donation. We have to make these questions the top questions. Do you think Poles may be eyeing Caleb in 2024 as his guy? JF is a dog, but I really think Poles wants his guy. If so, I can see him trading down past 5 to 10 to collect picks for insurance. I'm going to let you go with that first, Nomad. We're going to go with you last, Swifty. So you first, Nomad. You second, J2K.
I'll tell you something about Caleb. I watched him this year because really, to be honest with you, he didn't really get on my radar until he got to USC. and every chance I got, I watched their games. And if you ever watched the Barroom Show with Greg and Aldo, Greg Gabriel, and one of the things that he mentioned that really stuck with me is watching how a guy's teammates react to him. There was some stuff going on the sidelines in a game that they were losing, and his teammates, man, they wasn't rocking with him, man, and he wasn't rocking with them. To me, I was like, this dude's got a shitty attitude, man, and I can kind of read, the body language of guys around him and his. I'm not saying that's a red flag that someone should hold on to, but that's just something I noticed as a player, as a former player. I kind of read his body language. It wasn't that good to me.
Did we lose Swifty?
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
My cat's just up on my desk. I just turned him off for a second.
Who was up next? You're up next, sir. J2K.
So yeah, I think Caleb's a really good prospect, but I think you're starting over. And I think the way Poles is building this team, or will build this team, it is going to be around Fields, building the trenches. And I don't think the timeline makes sense. So, I mean, I love Caleb Williams. I think he's going to be really good. But I don't see it at all.
PJ, you're back. How do you sound now, buddy? You seem better. Oh, you're muted.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. How you doing? Can you hear us? Man, you got a crappy connection. That sucks.
This is the clunkiness of we got to learn from this and get people in the green room before.
Testing.
Yeah. Well, we were trying to do that. That's why we ran a little bit late. We were trying to get him in, but we couldn't get him in for a test run. So, man, there's questions just pouring in here. I mean, Triple R, can we discuss what later round QBs like without JF fans getting all up on their feels? Yeah, I think we can. I mean, it would be malpractice to not at least have the discussion, right?
Yeah, it's I don't see a lot of these quarterbacks as great. You know what I mean? Look, Caleb Williams is a talent. He is super talented. It's just something about him doesn't sit right with me. You know what I mean? But there's other guys out there that have different kind of talent levels, like Anthony Richardson, man. Like I said this months ago, right here on the bar room, I'm like, the people who don't draft him are missing it, and they're gonna regret it for a long fucking time. This dude has all the talent in the world, great character, and he's just cracking the surface of what he's capable of. That dude has a ceiling like a MF, and I'm telling you this. If there's a guy out there that could rival what Justin Fields can bring to the table, he's it.
Yeah, I think I can agree with that. I'm a little bummed the PJ's having issues though. I'm trying to get him figured out here.
Yeah, he's just a little dude. He'd be all right.
So I got a prospect.
Okay.
Dorian Thompson-Robinson of UCLA, quarterback. Probably get him 5th, 6th, 7th round. He absolutely fits as a backup to Justin Fields style-wise. The other thing that, I think is a good idea, some might not, but I'd sign Marcus Mariota as a backup.
I do not disagree with that.
I don't either. We definitely need a capable backup that runs the same system, and he can, we don't need a statue for a backup quarterback.
I think we spoke to that last night. I think J2K, didn't we?
Yeah.
J2K. Yeah. I think he's system fit, knows what he's doing, and can give Justin some tips. And I think he's past the point of really chasing a starter's job. I think he's just there, to get the check and to be a solid person in the quarterback room. I mean, I think that's where he should be at. I think he's had plenty of opportunity as a starter, and I think that dog that ship done sailed.
He's one of those guys that I looked at too as a developmental backup quarterback, and I think that's if we end up with as many picks as we think it's possible to have in this draft, I think it's time to go get one of those developmental backup quarterbacks that can fit in your system, and that can back up Justin Fields without a blip to the offense. And if Marcus Mariota is the second stringer in the meantime, that works for me.
Can I throw a flame? Can I throw a ball of flame out there to the chat, and you guys better respond. And if need be, you better buy your chat to get presented up here. I want to know, who is your best overall player, regardless of position, in this draft? Who is the most talented person you have seen on tape in this draft? We're not going to judge you. I just want to see what people think.
I do too. Let's go with you, J2K.
I would say Bijan Robinson. I mean, he's a running back, so he's going to drop a little bit, but if you want to talk position to position, I mean, he's head and shoulders the top prospect at his position.
Yeah, he's pretty fucking good. I'll give you that. That's why I wanted to bring you on the show, man. You've got your shit down with the guys you've been scouting too, J2K. You've been doing your homework.
Thank you.
I'll throw mine out there just to give some people something to argue about. I've been saying for a good long time, and I still believe this: Trenton Simpson is pound for pound the best actual football player, talent-wise, in this draft. And I'll give you a strong runner-up. And I don't know that it's even a runner-up. They might be neck and neck, and that's Will McDonald. I'm talking about pure ability, pure athleticism, and traits are just off the charts. Athleticism just off the charts. Like, you rarely see guys like this. And Trenton Simpson and Will McDonald so far are, to me, head and shoulders above them all.
I haven't personally found my favorite player yet, because I don't really like to do all my major scouting until free agency and the combine is done. But just from what I've been kind of researching so far, I think one of the players that I would like to see the most on the Bears right now is like a Tyree Wilson with that wingspan. He could play inside, outside. So far, that's my guy right now as far as the limited scouting that I've been doing.
I don't think he's 6'6", man. I think that dude's bigger than that, man. That dude's trending 6'7", 6'8" to me.
With that wingspan, I would say it looks like you're better now, PJ. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you guys hear me?
Oh, much better.
Way better, man.
I had to switch to my phone, I guess.
So, Nomad, ask him your question.
I forgot. What were we asking?
Oh, hands down, what's the top player in this draft that you want? No matter who it is. No matter
any
what
position, just physically, who's the best looking player you have seen in this draft? Pound for pound, no matter what position now.
The best looking player. Probably Jalen Carter, but he's lazy at times. But yeah, I would say Jalen Carter because of what he can bring.
Well, that kind of brings me back to the first question that you weren't able to respond to, which was, how do you feel about Jalen Carter yesterday as opposed to today?
I think he drops out of the top 5, possibly even out of the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I don't see a team wanting to invest a high draft pick on question marks. Because I remember Larry Tunsil when he was with that mask, smoking weed or whatever it was, and he dropped to number 11, I believe. So because he was projected to go number 1 overall, and that video came out the day of the draft, and he dropped to 11, I believe. So I see something like that happen with Jalen Carter, unless it's expedited and they clear everything up and his name is all cleared. But I don't see that happening before the draft.
I don't either.
Can I get a pause in here? I just want to thank everybody that came and got involved with this show. And it's early on, looking at the chat and looking at everybody's responses to everything. This feels like a Bears wet dream to me. It's like we've been waiting for that. We've been waiting for this. All we want to talk about is Bears for however long we can freaking talk about it, and we want to be involved. You got it now. Let's get the super chats up. Let's go. Keep it going, man. Let's go.
And in our lifetime, we've never sat here with the first pick with this kind of team, with a franchise quarterback that we can build around. This team did not seem like they were 3 and whatever the hell they were, or whatever.
I remember watching on another podcast. There was this guy on there, and Nomad sounds just like him. And the phrase that the guy would say would be, "There's hope, guys. There's always hope." Nomad's voice is just like that guy's voice.
I've seen that. I used to watch that show, man, but I remember that.
Every time I hear you talk, I think about that guy. I was like, damn it, if that don't sound like Nomad, my God.
PJ, you ever seen the show Cowboy, what's it called? Cowboy Bebop?
I heard of it. I never saw it, though.
You have got to watch Cowboy Bebop, because the character if you look up and you see Nomad's picture there, his character in the upper left-hand corner that I made Nomad's his avatar out of, that's the Cowboy Bebop character. And if you watch that TV show, he sounds exactly like Nomad. Like, one time it was on the TV, but it was in the other room, and I was like, "Is that Nomad?" And I was like, "Oh, I have to make the Nomad's avatar out of him, because he sounds exactly like him." And then on a show, I had Nomad word for word say the same thing that he said in the show right after he did, just to sound if he could sound like him, and he nailed it.
He has a very distinguishable voice.
Had me watching it. I'm like, man, what is this dude talking about, man?
Have you seen the show since then?
Huh?
Have you actually watched the show since then, though?
I got started with an episode, man, but our life is chaotic, man. I can't, unless it's after 9 o'clock, I ain't going to be able to do it.
Yeah, I hear you.
I sound like Mike Singletary?
Yeah.
That's the first one.
You kind of do. You kind of do.
You know what, man? That's a good one. Who said that?
Jay Sanders.
That's a good one. That's a good one, Jay. You do kind of sound like Mike Singletary a little bit.
You kind of do. It's a compliment.
I don't know about that. Can't win with them. Can't lose with them. Can't do it.
That was good.
Well done.
Man.
All right, so I have some more questions for you guys, and I'm gonna let you go next. Well, I don't know what's going on, Swift. Are you joining the show here or what? You're muted.
Swifty trolling.
Bro, I've been here the whole time. What do you mean?
You're muted though. I can't tell if you're.
I mute my cam when I'm not. I mute my mic when I'm not talking. I'm drinking. I got a cat meowing. Like, what do you want me to do?
I thought he was having a nice fight with Don Burr and stuff.
With Swifty, I want to know who's Swifty's top 5 defensive ends.
My top 5 defensive ends right now. Will Anderson would be 1. I got Tyree Wilson at 2. 3 is probably going to be Miles Murphy. Lucas Van Ness is up there. Will McDonald is up there. There's a lot of guys. This class is so deep.
On last night's show, Nomad pointed out a kid named Johnson from Oregon, I believe. Have you got a chance to look at him?
The defensive back?
Defensive end. Am I right, Nomad?
DJ Johnson.
DJ Johnson. No, I haven't checked him out yet.
He looked pretty good from well, I've seen on the highlights, of course, but he was looking he had great bend, and quickness and that athleticism.
Yeah, he's going to be he's one of those guys like I was saying last night. You look at him now and you can come up with something, but what is he going to look like as his body matures? He can end up being an inside tackle, but right now he can definitely play the edge. He does have some bend to him. He's quick.
Yes, he does.
And he's fast.
Yes.
Since we're on the subject, let me present another question for you guys. Most people consider Will Anderson Jr. from Alabama to be the best pure pass rusher in this draft. Today, he told the Score Sports Radio that he loved to play with the Bears. He said, they've got something special going on here. So my question is, would you bypass a trade and nab Anderson at number 1?
Who you asking? Because I feel a certain kind of way about that. I'm sorry, man.
You got to trade down. You got to trade down.
You have to trade now. And I think he's saying, I honestly think he's saying that because, of course, Bears number 1, which means more money.
Mm-hmm.
So I take what he said there with a grain of salt.
I kind of take all of it with a grain of salt, too.
Well,
J2K, what do you feel about that?
No, I agree. I think he's at a point where he'll say whatever he needs to say to get drafted as high as possible. I see him as a 3-4 rush linebacker. I would love if he did come to the Bears and he was that guy, because his tape is really, really good. His intelligence is really good. His technique is really good. But, I mean, I don't think he can throw on another 20 pounds and, play containment or, be the edge and stop the run. I mean, he's very good, but I don't see it.
Isn't he the same size as Robert Quinn? Same exact measurables.
Quinn's got a lot more height to him, and Quinn has like insane bend. That's one thing I don't see on Anderson's tape, is that what I call like the Gumby bend. I don't see that. I mean, he is fantastic like getting hands off of him. So when he rushes the quarterback, it's like he's moving through air. But in the NFL, guys are going to get hands on him, and he's going to need to beat them with strength and also the rush line. Your pass like rushing arc is different for a 4-3 defensive end than it is for outside linebacker. And I think that's kind of where he may struggle a little bit.
Hey, Shorty, can you look up the measurables on Anderson as well as Quinn? I thought they was both like 6'4", 240.
I sure can.
I think Anderson's 6'2".
6'4", 240 is Will Anderson.
40?
6'4", he's 6'4", 243.
Quinn,
Let's look up.
thought Quinn was.
Go ahead, Jay.
We'll get Anderson's official measurements in the next day. So I mean,
6'4". You were right, PJ. 6'4", 243 for Will Anderson. 6'4", 245 for Robert Quinn.
Okay.
That's what I thought I read. I heard an interesting nugget from Corey Wooten today, who's familiar with the system and played in it, and he mentioned that remember Simeon Rice? What kind of guy? What kind of player do you think that guy was?
Yep.
He's pretty good, wasn't he?
He was nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
He played at. He said that guy played at 225 in the 4-3 as an edge, and so it really does come down to preference, the coach's preference for what size and shape that he prefer at edge. As far as pure pass rushing ability in this draft, I ain't seen nothing like Will McDonald. Nothing. Even Will Anderson, his tape is great, but as far as dexterity and options, this dude has a bag that I rarely have seen out of a defensive end. Pure pass rushing ability. If it's about that, if you're gonna get a guy and it's about I need a guy that can get to the quarterback. I don't care how big he is. Will McDonald is the guy. I'm telling you guys, this dude is something different.
What's his measure?
I agree, Nomad. I think Will McDonald and BJ Ojulari are the two best pure pass rushers. And I think, McDonald's a 4-3, Ojulari's a 3-4. But, like, just pass rushing, love McDonald. The only issue I have, at Iowa State, they played him a lot at 5 tech, which he'll never see in the NFL. But when he played that position, he did not respect containment. He was wild. He was shooting inside. You watch the Kansas State game versus Iowa State, and you'll see that. Now that'll all change, I think, when he comes to the NFL, because he's going to be playing right defensive end. So I mean, I love the prospect, but there is a little bit of concern about him handling the run and containment on RPOs, bootlegs, all that kind of stuff.
Hey, I got to pop out, you guys, but keep this conversation going. I want to get back to that because J2K makes a good point. But it's just about if it's just about getting a pass rush, I just need a guy that can get in there and get to the quarterback. If that's the idea when you're making that pick, I think there's hands down. You're right, man. It's either Will McDonald or BJ Ojulari. They have the tool bags to get it done.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you on your sentiment about Will Anderson, J2K, that he reminds me more of like a Khalil Mack 3-4 outside linebacker. And I know you and I, Swifty, have had this conversation before. What do you feel about Will Anderson as a 4-3 defensive end?
I think he could do it. I don't know if he could do it full time without adding a little bit of weight. He might have to be like a hybrid, kind of like Micah Parsons. But I mean, I think he has the potential. He was so good against the run and he had so much power. He's kind of a freak. It's possible. I mean, I'm not the guy making the decision. I'd rather trade down, especially than take him at number 1 overall, and especially in a pass rushing class that's this deep. Like, I'd rather just move back. But I do think he's a really talented player.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel about it, PJ?
Well, Will Anderson, I mean, I'm of the belief that he's going to go top 5. And because I want the Bears to trade down to at least 7, 8, or 9, I think he'd be gone. So I would rather take maybe a Tyree Wilson or Miles Murphy at 7, 8, or 9. And then in the second round, pick up the kid from either Northwestern or the kid from USC, Thule, or forget the guy. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the guy from Northwestern.
Me either. Nomad, what's his name? Oh, he's gone.
Oh, no.
I forgot he had to leave the show for a second.
Swifty should know him.
Yeah, what's his name, Swifty?
Northwestern,
Yeah.
Ade Adeboare.
Thank you. Yes.
I got you.
Tomaway.
Knew that too.
Tomaway. Adabarway.
Yeah, like it. Love it.
Yeah, I just call him Ade. I don't pronounce the whole first name because his teammates.
Oh, I call him Adi.
So
double A.
I would just
Adi.
all right.
Nice.
Yeah, I would go that route as opposed to because to me, I don't think Will Anderson is so much greater than the combination of the other two.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I agree too.
And it's not only two. I mean, it's deep. You go all the way to like the 15th best pass rusher in this class, and they're still really talented and have a lot of tools. So I mean, instead of just taking it all on one guy, you can take a guy in the second round and a guy in the 4th round, and you're taking 2 shots at striking on a really good player, or potentially 2 instead of putting it all into one guy.
Now I heard a rumor somewhere. You guys can correct me if you guys didn't hear this, but I thought like Chase Young is probably on the trade block. Is that true?
I mean, they declined his 5th-year option. No one knows if they're actually going to trade him. It depends how he plays this year. He has another year left on his contract. So, I mean,
you think the Bears can get him for a 2nd or a 3rd?
I don't know. I mean, if they shop him, I'd be interested. Him and Justin Fields went to college together. They're friends. He's a freak pass rusher, but I don't think that's what they do. I think they let it see how this year plays out, and then they're either going to pay him or just like they did Deron Payne this year, they'll franchise tag Chase Young next year. So, I mean,
I
they're
can't
not just
believe his contract's already up.
yeah, they're just not in the business of giving players away. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
I heard an interview today with Ron Rivera, and he talked about Young being injured most of the year and playing on it. It wasn't until the game 15 did he see Young feeling comfortable. So I think they give him another year, but there's concern if they decline his 5th-year option.
yeah,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
and it means they could be trading him, but we don't know for sure. I mean, if it happens, I don't think they'll do it, but if he's a guy that gets on the trade block, you make that move. And then I love you guys. I got to bounce.
I was just about to ask you that. Yeah, because I know you had to get out of here.
I got to get out of here. I appreciate everybody. Like, awesome show, man. Sciorty, Nomad, J2K, everybody, man. This was awesome. You guys all rock. PJ as well.
We appreciate you, Swifty. Thank you
Yeah,
so
thanks
much
a lot,
for
Swifty.
coming on the show.
Yeah,
Taking
I'll
out.
come back another time. This is probably the busiest I've ever been the whole time I've been doing this. Like,
I understand, man.
planning
Well,
a
we'll be
trip.
doing this.
Yep.
We'll be doing this every couple of
Swifty.
weeks.
Have fun at the combine, man. Looking forward to your videos.
For sure, man. Much love, everybody. I'll catch you guys later. I'll probably
You
hang
too,
out
man.
in the chat as well. All right. Much love, guys.
All right, much love. Peace out.
What do you think it would cost to get Chase Young?
Ooh, that's a question for you, J2K.
I would say at least a second. But as a GM, if I was a GM, I would be tentative just because of his injury. I'd want to see him at least play until the trade deadline next year and make a call then. Because if he looks good and they still want to trade him, because they do have a lot of money invested in that defensive line, or they will very soon.
Yeah.
I would be interested, but I think if he looks good, they keep him. If he doesn't, then you renegotiate.
Okay.
I'm not sure I'm that interested in Chase Young with the amount of value in this year's draft at the defensive line position. We've kind of been talking about it all night, I think that we need to build this team through the draft. And to be honest, my free agency thoughts they're so minuscule that Deron Payne was high on my list, but he got franchised. And really from there on out, it's just kind of whoever they sign, I'd be happy with, because I'm not really, looking for some big name signing myself. For me, it should come down to just building as many or accumulating as many picks in this draft as you can to build through the draft. And we're in this position now with the quarterback and with the coaching staff, and we're in year 2, and this opportunity to add a bunch of top tier talent. Look at what Devin Hester did in his first year with the Bears, probably arguably his best year on the team. If we can get some players like that can just pounce right out of the gates and help this team win now, I think that playoffs are. I called 11-6 last year. I was gravely mistaken, but there was a lot of games that could have gone the other way that could have made that somewhat close to that record. And if we can win those close games next year with some of these, high, big name, or not big name, but quantity over quality, I should say, players in this draft, I'm so excited, man. I think we all feel the same way.
What was the question? I just popped in for a second.
Swifty left. We weren't on a question. We were just kind of rambling on about just how we feel about this team right now. And
Chase Young.
we were talking about Chase Young. Yes, thank you.
Oh,
And whether or not he should be traded, or whether or not the Bears should go after him maybe next year.
I'll tell you one thing: if he becomes available, and you wanna ignore whatever you've seen in the limited amount of action that he got later in the year, right after his major injury. but you know he's gonna be fine. He's young, and that's gonna heal, and he's gonna be fine. I tell you right now, Chase Young is an absolute game changer, and that's what you're looking for. If there's a game changer on the board in a trade, in free agency, in the draft, you better damn well do the best thing you can do to see about what you can do to get that and not give up as much as they actually want for it. So it's due diligence there. If he's available, you better start considering that.
So Nomad, if okay, you're Ryan Poles, what would you give up to get Chase Young, given his injuries as well as his only 1 year left on his contract? What would you give up to get him?
That's hard to answer, but I consider a second, third rounder for sure, and maybe even a late round pick just to throw some icing on it, just to make those guys feel good. Yeah, I think he's that good of a player. When he's healthy, he's right.
Can I present the question to you guys though, with the as we talked about most of the show, with the depth in this draft on the defensive line, wouldn't that be more serviceable to use that pick on, say, a DeAndre Hopkins, if you're going to trade a pick for a player?
Why not both?
Nah, you want to be young, man. You got to be young and stay young. You know, you want to the best rosters remain young as they can be. They're good in the long term. They're good in the short term, but they're good in the long term because they're constantly flowing with young talent. You know, they're drafting well, and there's constantly new fresh blood flowing through the veins. And I'm not saying DeAndre Hopkins isn't a guy that they shouldn't value. They should value him, but you got to be careful what you're willing to give up to get a guy that age, and you got to know what's on his mind. Is he okay with a team that's rising, or does he want to be on a team that's already at the top and he wants to get that ring? So all that being said, I don't know.
I'll present it to you like this. Unless you want to go ahead, J2K, I don't want to cut you off.
No, you're good, PJ.
I look at it because of my dream scenario of the Bears trading out multiple times. So we have multiple seconds, multiple thirds, multiple fourths. By doing that, I would want to be able to trade now or be able to get Chase for maybe a second, get DeAndre for maybe a fourth. Reason why I want DeAndre, because you have a true number one now. You give Claypool time to develop within this offense. If he doesn't show this year, he's out of there. At the same token, you're also drafting another wide receiver who can come along. So I think DeAndre can be that lead dog in the locker room and on the field to show Mooney, Claypool, Bayless Jones, and the rookie how things work, and Bears can see whether or not Claypool is worth keeping. And I figure we would only keep DeAndre by 2 years. By the time that his 2 years is up, we have to play Fields, and then DeAndre is gone anyway. PJ,
I set you up, and you just hit that fucker right out of the park. Exactly what I was going to ask.
Yeah, I agree 100%, PJ. I think fourth round for Hopkins is that's the money spot right there. You get an Asian guy who he's only played 60% of the last 2 seasons, partially PEDs, partially injuries. But I mean, you put that guy in a receiver room with a rookie and Mooney and Claypool and even Vellis, like that would be awesome. I would love that. In fact, if we were able to find a way to draft JSN and trade a fourth for Hopkins, our wide receiver room would turn into one of the best in the league. Absolutely. And that would be huge for Fields. And just like you're saying, right when Hopkins' contract ends, that's when you pay Fields. We've got a rookie still on a wide receiver rookie on a rookie contract. Sure, we may extend Mooney and Claypool. I don't think they're going to get number one wide receiver money. So, I would love that.
I love your way of thinking there, PJ. To be honest with you, and see, and it comes down to, and it comes down to being willing to release a little bit of capital to put a guy in your building and in a receiving room that his presence will be felt. And from everything I know about DeAndre Hopkins is he works his ass off.
Yes, he does.
He works his ass off, and he's an example. He's a leader, and so that what you just said, it just gave me. I'm thinking about it differently now. So thank you for that.
Triple R saying you need to you trying to give away picks for an off-injured, expensive guy and older wide receiver on his downside. Build through the draft, young and athletic. And I think that just answered your question, or that kind of was your response to that. Triple R is if you add a receiver like that to the receiving room that's going to be so young, you're going to get so much more value out of that player than it's going to be worth a 4th round pick for sure. He's going to have a big contract he'll have to pay this year, but we can afford it. And then
he's only 30, right?
Yeah, but then after that it goes downhill. So you get him this last year for like half of that or less, I think. So that would be
Hop's game is I don't see him trending down at 32, 33, 34 because of his game. His game isn't really a high octane game where he's constantly putting a whole bunch of work on his joints, and he's got a pretty quiet game, man. It's just he's just a technician with great hands and great ability after the catch. And so I don't see him trending down anytime soon. I think he's got plenty of tread on the tire, to be honest with you.
Well, yeah, it's all in the way. I mean, because even when you have Claypool, Mooney, and Bayless, and then this rookie, you have the ability to then not overuse him anyway.
All right.
I want to present you guys with a question, and I'm going to kind of hand it over to you while I go take a quick leak. And I want to know what you guys believe. If you guys believe that there is high-end talent after the 3rd round and beyond in this draft. And I'm going to let you go first, J2K, and you can kind of flip it around the room and I'll let you guys discuss this.
Before you do that, Shorty, Aldo just gave us you see that?
Gotta go. Thanks to everyone in the chat and the donators. Congratulations to Mr. Sciorty and Nomad for a successful launch of this new show. You guys are great.
Thanks,
Aldo.
Thank y'all. Thank you guys in the chat, man. Thank you guys on the show live. Thank all of you guys, man, because like I said before, doesn't exist without you guys.
Nope. You guys are. This show is about you, for you. This is your stage to speak your mind about what you want to say about the Bears. And we want to thank you, J2K, and of course, Swifty and PJ. It is great to see your face, PJ, and put the face to the name. And you've got some great points. You guys are what's making this show. It's all about you. So down there, like it says in the ticker tape, if you want to join the show, email DanTheDirtyBear@gmail.com, and we will set you up to join the show. We can't just bring you on all willy-nilly because we don't know, just like we saw with PJ, we didn't get to do a sound check before. We want to make sure that you get your internet reset, things like that, so that you have a good connection when you're in the show. And that's really all that matters is the production. So you guys are what makes the show. And thank you all of you so much for being a part of it tonight, and everyone here, you guys on the show. So
really quick, Triple R, you better get your stinking ass in this show.
You better get your stinking ass in here.
Get your stinking ass in here. Let's go.
Mm-hmm. You can come in here and tell me to take Quaaludes.
D-Dub, you too, man. It's time. It's time to
everyone,
get in,
man. Taurine, get your ass on the show, Taurine.
Yep. We built this for you guys. It's the house that y'all built.
Taurine, you just donated $10. You better put that $10 to use and get on the show.
Let's go. Let's go. The house that the chat built right here.
Oh, I have to make a new banner for that. Guys, I'm gonna give you this question. I'm gonna run off to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. But do you believe that there is high-end talent after the 3rd round and beyond? J2K, you go first.
Yeah, I do. I think wide receiver for one. I've got like a handful of guys that I think are going to drop to that third round. One of my personal favorites is Marvin Mims from Oklahoma. After that, I got Cedric Tillman, Xavier Hutchinson. I think Charlie Jones is going to go a little bit later, maybe fourth or fifth. But I really like him. The kid who Stanford kid who did really well at the Senior Bowl, Wilson. He's another guy. I think as well. Running backs. I think after the third, fourth round, I think there's still really good running backs. And then also, I would say offensive guard and offensive center. They tend to drop, and you can find a starter in that third round at that position.
That's actually what you just said is pretty accurate, because I think the third round and beyond is the sweet spot for guards, especially. A lot of tackles go in the first and second round. The high end tackles, the Anton Harrisons, the Carter Warren, who I feel delightful about, and that's a whole other conversation. But I think that's the sweet spot for guards is the third round and beyond. It's just like, wow, how'd you find this guy? Well, nobody's in the business of drafting a guard in the first two rounds, really, to be honest with you, unless it's a guy that just is a ass kicker and you can't avoid it and you got to get him. But that is absolutely the sweet spot for pretty much every position, but in particular, third round and back for guards.
What do you guys feel about Tevin Jenkins going to tackle?
J2K, it's all
Nomad?
that's all you.
I think he looked really good at right guard. I do. I think the biggest concerns with him aren't actually about positional value. It's more about injury. I really like him at right guard.
You see that name up there, Steve Avila?
Mm-hmm.
If you guys haven't done the homework and the research on guards, and you want to see a solid freaking, this dude will demolish you. I've seen him get demolished by Tyree Wilson, actually, but that was on a pool. He was on a pool and he got crushed by Tyree Wilson. But this guy is solid. I mean, extremely solid as a guard. I have a particular I really love Polynesian kind of guys. I don't know if he's Latino or Polynesian, but this dude is solid, man. I love everything about him.
My concern with Tevin is his injury. I think he's like 6'6", I believe, and to be inside of a phone booth at guard, I don't think you get the full effect of what Tevin can do. I think he's better with space and be able to move better and risk less injury by being on the edge as opposed to being on the inside. Because I think when he got hurt this year, he was pulling and got cracked in the head, something that guards go through that I don't think he would have to go through being a tackle.
Here would be my.
That's a good point.
I agree.
Go ahead, J2K. You got something?
Oh no, I agree. I think that's a good point.
I do think as far as Tevin goes, I think we as fans had our hearts and minds set to Tevin being a tackle, and it's kind of hard to relinquish it. And I do share that sentiment. But he was so successful at guard. I don't know that you ever want to mess with that. You know what I'm saying? It's okay if we had to shift some guys around because of injury and we needed to put somebody somewhere to get us out of a game. He's definitely capable of being a tackle. We know that. We've seen the tape and he can play tackle. But he was so successful at guard, I don't know why you would ever want to mess with it. You know, I mean, I understand what PJ is saying. It's just, man, when something's not broke, don't fool with it. Leave it alone. He had a hell of a year minus the injury at guard.
Well, I know to answer Triple R, I know he stated that he still wants to play tackle, but the route for him to go right now is to play in guard, is what he said in the interview that I remember seeing. But me personally, I just think 6'6" is kind of big for a guard. And him being 6'6", I think he would be better suited on the edge, as well as, like I said, his injury concerns being in that phone booth. Because he kind of reminds me of like Kyle Long. Kyle Long was dominant for a couple of years as guard, but being 6'6", injuries started taking its toll on his body. I think the ideal size for a guard is like 6'4", maybe 6'5". When you start getting to 6'6", I think you're too big as a guard because you're going against these low center of gravity defensive tackles like 6'2", 6'3", who are going to get underneath you, and injuries happen that way.
Damn good.
No,
point.
I agree, PJ. I definitely agree that when you're too tall as a guard, it's easy to get pushed around by smaller guys.
Right.
But I still think that Jenkins looked good at right guard. I feel like the coaches think he found a home there. I don't think Jenkins likes it because he just that's a lot of money on the table that he lost.
Yeah, I agree.
And man, PJ's making such good points, man. I want to choke him because that's a really good point.
I kind of equate it to like a 6'7" baseball player, right? You are making great points.
Don't choke me though.
Oh yeah, no man, that's a really good point, man. And he's got me thinking about it. But he's so good at run blocking, and he's such a mauler at run blocking. At the tackle spot, you don't have that much opportunity to do what he does. The guards are super important in the West Coast offense. They're almost more important than the tackle in the West Coast offense because you run so many pull plays and trap action plays and things like that make that position get up and move. And so he, as physical as he is, I think it's perfect. The West Coast offense is perfect for Tevin Jenkins because he can get out there, move, and really put a hurting on people, which is what he really wants to do.
I'm not so convinced of his movement skills at guard per se. I mean, because I was looking at the left tackle we got, Jones. He moves pretty decently as a tackle. And I think that Tevin being on the right side can move like that because I'm envisioning JMS at center, the guard from Philadelphia as right guard, and then Tevin as right tackle. I think David Montgomery will be averaging 6 yards a carry behind that line on that right side.
Okay.
I mean, I can see that. I think Jenkins is, a good right tackle prospect. I think that's kind of what he came into the NFL.
Yeah, he was dominant in college as a right tackle.
Yeah, he had some beautiful kick out in college. The beautiful footwork that he had when he kicked that right leg out and got into stance, it was beautiful. Then he was ready to deliver power. I like what you were saying. I totally agree with you, PJ. I kind of equate it to like a 6'7" baseball player who was unable to hit that strike zone.
Yeah.
When you need to be a little bit shorter when you're playing on the interior of the line like that.
Nomad, you was going to say something?
Yeah, I agree. Nomad popped out, yeah?
Oh, did he? Okay. But yeah, I just think, with a line like that, I think our running game will go to another level to where we would no one have to depend on Field so much to run, but we'll have the guys in Montgomery if we resign, as well as Herbert.
Speaking of that, what do you guys feel about? I'd love to know both of your perspectives on Monty. First off, tell me what you feel about the player and his fit on this team, and then let me know what you think about the Bears resigning him, and if you would. Go ahead and go first, J2K.
I love Monty. I think he's the glue to the offense. I think there's so many things that he does well that are kind of overlooked when you're just looking at when you're looking for maybe a speed running back who's going to hit the home run. His pass catching, his pass blocking is really, really good. My issue isn't so much with Monty, but if Jacobs and Barkley get signed, I think Barkley gets signed to the Giants again. I think Jacobs may end up at Dallas Cowboys. That's just my kind of guess. But outside of that, who's an upgrade to Monty? I don't see a guy. I mean, maybe if Joe Mixon gets cut, he's a little bit of a better
maybe
pure running back, but I don't think he offers.
Maybe Miles Sanders.
Miles Sanders?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I just don't see a huge upgrade. I actually think that we sign Monty, but we upgrade over Ebner. I think Ebner's the guy who's out in the list. And I could see a 4th or 5th round running back getting drafted that the coaches think fits their scheme. And that may end up being the guy. And maybe a year or two down the road. But Herbert's going to be up for a contract extension, I think, in a year or two. So I'd like Monty around for another 2 years just to be that glue. But I mean, I could see the coaching staff going a different direction and going with a rookie that they think fits.
I agree. I agree. I would and don't. I'm not committing blasphemy here, but Monty reminds me somewhat of Walter Payton.
Thank you.
Not the top end speed, but that toughness.
Yes.
And he has that, and he's a leader of the team. He commands the respect of the other people. Now, I think he's perfect in a dual role with Herbert or another running back. He's good in that role. He's not the bell cow to carry 25 times a game, but I love his toughness, and I love what he brings to this team. I would hate to lose him, but I'm also not trying to overpay him.
Yep.
So if we can get him for around $6 or $7 million for 2 or 3 years, sign me up.
What's the most
agree.
you'd pay for?
I agree.
I think $7 million is probably the most.
I'm thinking 8. I'd
And
go
that-
8. But I'd go more than
Leonard Fournette got a 3-year, $21 million contract. And I would kind of put Monty in the same realm as Leonard Fournette, but I think Monty's a better receiver and better pass blocker.
Absolutely.
This is kind of what I was saying on Bare Their Souls last night, is that David Montgomery, he in the mold of Walter, like you said, PJ, he plays on the offensive. It's like he is trying to attack that defense, very similar to Walter, how he wanted to hurt the defense before the defensive guy before he could hurt him.
Right.
And that's kind of what I see in Montgomery. We call it the wormhole play against the Patriots when he had -3 yards and he gained an extra 8 for like a total gain of 11. And it looked like he was down and just he squirreled all these extra yards out of it. That's what I love about Monty.
He's a fighter.
And one last thing
Contact talent.
talking about him is when I was scouting him, I saw him do the little Walter Payton. It was like a sweep when he went around to the edge and he did that little Walter Payton move, and I was like, that's my guy. And I couldn't believe they drafted him. And from then I've been in love with him. So I personally don't want to see him go.
Okay, I'm back on the show. Can I get 2 cents in, please?
Yeah.
Take 3 cents.
I will accept that.
Take $1.50.
Okay, I'll take that too. Put it in the super chat. I'll really take it. But listen, man. And if you watched Bears Country podcast and you heard me at the beginning of the season, you will hear how much love I have for David Montgomery, and that's not wavered at all. I love that dude. I go to war for David Montgomery, but I know for a fact that these guys want to be more explosive from the backfield. They want to be able to go 1, 2, 3 running backs deep. When you're deep into the game and you're on the other team's 40 and you're in a tight game and you need to finish that thing and you're wearing the team down offensively on the ground already and they're tired and you need to hand that ball to a guy that can take it and go 60 and game over. David Montgomery isn't that guy. And I really hate to say that. It pains me to have to say that, but I know he's not the guy. And
let me push back on that a little bit.
Go ahead.
So remember when Monty came in weighing like 218, 217, something like that, at his lightest? And that's when he had that long run, I think, against Houston, where he had that like 80-yard run.
Yeah.
If you get Monty to drop the weight to get back down to like 217 or so, he can have that. But also, with that theory of yours, you don't want all running backs to have the same ability. You want someone to bring something in different. So you can't have everyone like a Khalil Herbert. You got to have a Khalil Herbert, a Monty, and even Ebner, if he ever was to reach his potential like he showed in college, his breakaway speed. But to have all three burners, I don't think that would work, because you need that tough runner that Monty brings.
So to me, that would look like, to me, you have a, and this is just my dream scenario.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have 2 home run hitters in Josh Jacobs and Khalil Herbert, and you can get somebody like a Kareem Hunt on a decent sized contract to really slug out a game and really hand it to the defense. Dude, that would be, my goodness, that's a fearsome running back core. It's going to cost you a little bit. I don't know if we could ever do it, but
what are you paying Kareem Hunt?
I'll give him $5 million at least.
So do you think Kareem Hunt would be a better fit than Monty?
Yeah, to do what we need to do. Yeah, I do.
Really?
I really do.
What about the intangibles?
Honest with you.
What about the intangibles?
What do you mean by intangibles?
The locker room, the leadership. Do you think Kareem Hunt will be able to bring that like Monty brings it?
See, now there I have no leverage to tussle with you, because I can't speak for Kareem Hunt in that aspect. I know what Monty brings, and if it's about character and wanting to maintain a certain kind of character in your locker room and in your running back room, if it comes down to that, then you are standing on a tall building. But I just listen to the coaches, and when I say stuff that I say, it's always based on the things I hear the coaches and the GM talk about, and they are absolutely destined to get explosive players on every level of the offense. They want explosive guys, and I just know Monty isn't.
I don't think Hunt is explosive anymore. I think he was once upon a time. I don't think he is anymore, though.
That's why he'd only get $3 to $5 million.
That's why I would rather keep Monty, because of the other things that Monty then brings. Because if Hunt is no longer explosive, Monty is not explosive, Monty's tough, and he has that locker room and leadership that on this young Bears team, we would need that.
So if this is what I foresee is going to happen. He's going to end up hitting the market, and he's going to see somewhere between 5, 6, 7 million somewhere. Somebody's going to say, okay, I think this guy can bring me something that we didn't have before, and I'm willing to pay 5, 6, 7 million. I don't think Poles is going to match that.
I think the most polls will go with 7. I think he will go 7.
We'll see.
Because Herbert is still on a rookie contract. If Herbert was up, I would say he probably wouldn't then go. But because I think he would have paid Monty $7 million for probably 2 years.
Okay.
Nomad, I got a question for you and a comment. First off, I've heard you say that we have the opportunity to upgrade over Monty, and I 100% agree with you. But I'm curious, if we sign Monty, say, 2-3 year contract, will we draft a Kendrick Miller or Tajay Spears or Chase Brown? How would you feel about that as a solution to the running back room?
That's not a bad idea. That's if we intend on keeping David Montgomery around, you have to surround him with more explosive running backs. Kendre Miller, that everybody knows, that's the guy I believe is the best running back in the draft. But and I'll have some arguments for you guys. I'll have some comps for Kendre Miller being the best, because there's some guys that can argue with him about being the best, but I'll bring those guys to you next week. But yeah, I mean, I just don't think you can have him as your lead back. I think you put David Montgomery in late in the game when it's close and you just need those tough yards here and there. I don't think he's a lead back. So if you can keep David Montgomery in the price range that you really value him at, there's no reason why you wouldn't pay David Montgomery. He has everything that you want. But if it's about explosion and it's about flipping the field and putting points on the board and finishing games with a play after you've worn the defense down, you got to look in a different direction. Kendre Miller or Chase Brown or somebody of that nature, that's great. That's great. I just don't think you can have Montgomery as the lead back.
I got another question, and I'll give you guys the floor. Do you think that Barkley or Josh Jacobs would come here and split time with Herbert?
Definitely.
I don't. But what happens with Herbert if you do?
Go ahead. I think if you bring in another alpha running back like that, Herbert going to feel some type of way. I think he's feeling like he waited his time behind Montgomery, and then you let Montgomery go only to bring in another alpha male. I don't think he would like that.
I'm digging it. I'm digging what you're saying, but the truth about Khalil Herbert is, what did Flu say when he did the press conference at the combine? Khalil Herbert has to make himself a more viable option out of the backfield. He's got to be more consistent catching the ball out of the backfield. He's had this is going on his 3rd year. He was better at catching the ball. I seen maybe one drop this year, maybe one. I could be wrong. He might have had more than that, but I seen one drop. Before it was 2, 3, 4 drops. When they're trying to get the ball to him out of the backfield. I'm really, the first position I've ever played was running back. I feel running back is who I am at my core. And I know that position. And I'm telling you guys right now, Josh Jacobs is the best running back in the National Football League. And if they let him walk, he is exactly the guy that you would want in a tight situation, and you need to finish your game off. You worn those guys down. Alpha male running back, like PJ is saying, he's the dude. Khalil Herbert can feel however he wants to feel. But
with as many holes as we got, are you trying to pay Jacobs?
It depends on the price. I'm giving him 12,
14.
Can I just interrupt here for a second and say I think that PJ has taken over the role of the pontificator tonight.
I'm giving him 12. I'm giving him 12. If that's what he wants, But hey, we got some dudes that can spell you, so you don't have to put the wear and tear on your body. He's going to appreciate that. Man, that's one of the first signings I would make, because we are. Listen, I'm just telling you, these guys want to be physical offensively,
Mm-hmm.
and they want to be a defensive dominant team. But you have to be physical on both sides of the ball. Just watch Josh Jacobs' film, and you will, if you watch it long enough, you will see the special that I see. This is
I
the
agree with
guy,
you.
he's going into his prime.
I agree with you 100%. I think he is the best back in the league. However, with as many holes as we have, I don't believe we will pay that money for him while still trying to fill all these other holes. I don't think Poles will do that. And plus, Poles keep on saying over and over, we have to retain our own guys.
Hey, you know what, PJ? One last thing, and I'll leave this for everybody else to talk about. The thing about what you just said about you don't think Poles would pay him. I'll tell you one thing. Eberflus had to deal with that SOB a couple times in a year, and he knows when he was at Indianapolis and that great defense he had over there, he knows what Josh Jacobs can do.
Oh, yeah, he's a beast.
Yes.
He's a beast. I agree with you 100%. He is a beast.
It's probably going to be a knife fight between Poles and Eberflus about, hey, man, I want this dude. He done me in enough times. I want him on my side. I want to be able to finish games with this dude.
But if you're paying Jacobs, granted, it's like, early on, but you still got to keep in the back of your mind. You got to, Fields is coming due. Mooney is coming due. Kmet is coming due. So are you going to invest that much money in a running back when you can get Monty for cheap?
3 years in an option.
Kmet, Mooney, and Johnson is due next year.
Hey, somebody might not get signed up, but I know this is a game changer right here. These other guys are good, very good players, but Josh Jacobs is a game changer.
I can't disagree with that. I can't. I just concerned about the money and whether or not they're going to pay that for a running back.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm curious, you guys. Are we trying to fix something? Are we trying to fix something that ain't broken? I mean, up until the mini bye, we had the best rushing offense before we designed the offense for Fields to run. So Herbert and Monty, they can get us yards. And we had a good rushing offense with a bad offensive line. So why spend the money? And I get it, Nomad. Totally get there's the opportunity to upgrade. But why?
Well, I'll have some running backs next week, like I told you guys, that you guys are gonna really like. I just know when I see special. And I don't use that word that often, but Josh Jacobs is a difference. He's a difference on a football field. When you hand him that ball, he is a difference. There's only so many of those guys in the league, and I think he's the best running back in the league, and I don't think it's close. He's got everything you want: pass protection, catching out of the backfield, can break off for explosive plays. This dude is something else, man. And I want that guy on my side in the top game.
Is that a pipe dream? I mean, everybody wants Jacobs.
If they don't tag him or sign him to a new contract, he's one of the first guys I'm going after. That's how much I agree. Think of him.
With our O-line.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, that's where I think with a better O-line, you're going to get better production out of our running backs. And Jacob behind our O-line isn't going to do as well as he did in Las Vegas.
I think their offensive line was good under the circumstances. They have one of our backups playing as a starter, which is good on their part. They were able to get him. Yeah, they were able to get great production out of him. But I think the way our offensive line blocked and Josh Jacobs and his instincts, and his ability to be able to, I mean, what he does at the line of scrimmage at the point of attack is something that I don't know that I can really describe to people other than people that played running back in their lives. He's something else. I'm trying
I
to
agree,
tell you.
Nomad. But
He's
if you look at
something
it from Josh Jacobs' perspective, would you rather choose the Bears or the Eagles or Dallas?
Oh, well, that's unfair, man. Why'd you have to put it like that?
I'm sorry. Reality just crushed you, huh?
Why'd you have to do that, man? That's all.
No,
That's all
hope
fucked up.
it's intoxicating.
That's all fucked up, man. I mean, I think it's mostly just I really believe, and why I think it's a possibility, it's because Eberflus had to face that guy 2 times a year. That's why I think it's a possibility. He knows how much damage that dude can do.
But it would take money.
He only faced him one time a year. Eberflus did.
Okay, my bad. He is out of the division. Sometimes they play twice. Sometimes.
Guys, can I just pause for a second here for station identification and just say this show has been fucking amazing so far with both of you guys as guests and Swifty earlier. Chat is blowing up. I cannot keep up with it. I don't even want to be a part of this show. This show is about you guys. You guys are enjoying talking to each other. I'm just letting this roll. For anyone that wants to join this, you see the email down there. This show is about you. So if you want to be a part of the open mic night, you just email DanTheDirtyBear@gmail.com. You can be the show. I'm out.
You know something, and this free agency and us being first in priority and waiver wire signings, I think the latter part of what I just said, the first in priority and waiver wire signings, I think is going to be, I think, the hidden hero in what happens this year, because there's a certain amount of guys that have already broken loose into the waiver wire and will hit it, but there's so many more guys that are going to hit it that we don't see coming.
No, man, I saw a list of the top undrafted free agents in the NFL. Like, the Bears had 3 of them. No other team had 2. We had Sanborn. We had Jalen Jones. We had Josh Blackwell, who we got off of Philly. Man, I see that as a trend that it's going to keep going with polls.
It's like a snowball rolling downhill. You finding value late, and after the draft. And you're being confident in these guys' ability to be able to coach and teach and saying, you know what, it's just not enough players being drafted. These guys can play too. Let's coach them up.
Well, I think that because Bears had to, not spend any money because they was trying to clear the books, they had to go get the cheaper options. I'm not saying that Blackwell can't play, but let's be honest, he only plays special teams. He's good at it, but that's all he plays. I think now that we're able to now spend money and have to spend money, he's going to start getting more valuable players, and therefore taking what Dan Aguirre was saying last night, how the defense sucked. And I'm like, well, we didn't have no talent. This year we're going to have talent because they're going to spend the money when they didn't draft some talent. So I think our defense will be better, but to the point of having the free agent or the undrafted free agents that performed, because we had nobody on the team. I mean, as I said last night, I don't think that out of our defense, you could probably find maybe 3 players that could probably start for another playoff team on our defense. Maybe Brisker, Eddie Jackson, and Jalen Jones or Johnson. Other than that, we didn't have nobody that's another team would be knocking down our door to try to get.
Yeah, we had a roster that basically allowed undrafted free agents to play.
Exactly.
I kind of like that, though. I mean, I hope that's over, but seeing Sanborn in the middle, that was pretty awesome. That guy really blew me away. He played far better than I thought he could.
Yeah, I was disappointed that they didn't play him and the Roquan together.
That's true. Yeah, Sanborn at will and Roquan at middle.
Right, or vice versa, either one. Because I thought Morrow was a disappointment. I thought he was average. Yeah, I was not impressed at all.
You know, there's some sneaky things that happened towards the end of the season. They picked up some guys, people like Donovan Jeter, and this is just two people, Terrell Lewis, that a lot of people, they're like, oh yeah, okay, who are these guys? They were on somebody's practice squad or they got cut. What does that mean? Well, it means probably a lot less than you think and a lot more than you think, to be exact, because Terrell Lewis was probably in a situation where under the circumstances he was not going to get the kind of playing time that he wanted, and there was probably some odds with the coaching staff. There was something going on there. He's too talented to just let hit the waiver wire. Something happened there that he didn't like, and he probably said, hey man, let me move on to somewhere else. I don't want to be here for whatever reason. But uber talented. This dude is a freak of nature. When you watch his tape, he got hurt when he was at Alabama, came to LA. I don't know what his injury history was with LA, but let me tell you something. With my thoughts about what he's able to bring to the table with coaching and teaching and trust and time to be able to get himself together, I think we got something sitting there waiting to pop with that guy. Donovan Jeter, you watch his tape and you're like, okay, that's some he's really strong and he's really good, and he's one of those guys that can probably play the nose, maybe sneak in there and get you a snap or two at 3-tech, but nothing wrong with the player. He just couldn't get into the lineup. I can't remember where they got him from, off a practice squad. But yeah, those are two guys I would pay attention to and keep my ears and eyes out for moving forward, because I think they stole a couple there.
Well, I think last year, Poles was just trying anybody. I mean, remember, we even signed Taco Charlton. I mean, he played, 2 or 3 games, and then he was out the door. So he was just trying to find anybody and see if anybody could step up. And Lewis, to his, unfortunately for him, when he got a chance to step up that last game of the season, he got sick, so he couldn't even play.
Was that really what happened, or was it a plan for him not to even touch the rest of the season and focus on getting ready for next year?
Well, what's the advantage in that?
Yeah, you get to build with him, and you don't want to put him out there in a spot where you don't want to put him. You just don't want to put him out there. If you got him for a reason, you picked him up. What was your plan for the guy? And that's what I would have been thinking.
I think they was planning on playing him, but then he got sick that last game of the season or whatever happened to where he couldn't play. But they wanted to be able to see him, I'm sure, because they want to know what they have in him coming into this year.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see what happens with them moving forward. Something about those two pieces in particular had my antennas up. I'll just tell you that.
Right? Yeah, I agree, Nomad. Lewis is on contract. They didn't cut him, so he's going to be here next year. I'm very curious to see how well he plays.
You and me both. I want to see what some of these guys in the chat want to talk about. It's time to start.
What do you guys think of Leatherwood?
I'll let PJ go with that, and then
I think he's a left tackle. I think I was listening to Greg Gabriel, and him being a scout. So I kind of weigh what he has to say pretty heavily. He says there's some players who are just built for either the left side or the right side. And seeing as though he played left side his whole college career, because he was left guard, I think 1 year and then 2 years at left tackle, you just able to just play the left side. So being on the right side, he was like a fish out of water. I still think he needs work, but I think he would probably be better on the left side as opposed to the right side.
I think PJ he just dotted that one. He's the left side technique is where he feels comfortable, and that's just all there is to it. Left side technique, right side technique. They're two different universes, and only certain players can adapt to, strolling from both sides, one side to the other. Well, it's not every day that you run into a guy that can do both sides well and adjust to it. Left side technique is where I think he's going to make or break himself. He's a left tackle, and I think he should have been pushing Braxton Jones, but you didn't want to mess with that during the season. But to add to that really fast, if you listen to Poles in his press conference at the combine, he mentioned, that's one of the notes I took down, that he mentioned that there was a couple of guys that were playing out of position on the offensive line. The first two guys that came to my head was Lucas Patrick, Alex Leatherwood. And we're going to give those guys a chance to redeem themselves in camp where they feel comfortable. Center, left tackle. That's why.
Can we add Tevin Jenkins in the playing out of position too?
Ooh, you must. Hey. Right.
PJ's all over that.
Guys, there's Michael Henneman and Cody Lipscomb are both saying that. How do you feel about Leatherwood at left guard instead of left tackle?
I'll let you guys go.
Go ahead, J2K.
I could see that. I think Leatherwood is going to get opportunity at every offensive line spot aside from center. I think the coaching is just, they're going to look at him as a ball of clay. So, I mean, we'll see. I honestly am not high on Leatherwood. I think he showed a lot of technique issues, dropping his head, overreaching. I had high hopes for him, but I did not like what I saw at right tackle. I'd love to see him at left tackle, love to see him at left guard, and then make an opinion. Hopefully preseason we could see that, but I do think he's out the door.
That's going to be interesting. Because I did this probably 3 or 4 times during the season. Watched him at left tackle at Alabama and watched his technique, watched his style. And it's almost like you feel like he went to Oakland and they broke him. That's what it feels like watching him, because it's like, why would you fuck with that? Why would you ever draft this guy and even consider putting him on the other side of the field? What ain't broke? You leave it alone. You leave it alone. And I think the Bears and their management said, hey, man, this dude is too talented not to bring him in here, and let's see what he can bring to the table. I think giving him a fresh start next year, letting him do left side work, whether that be at tackle or guard, I think is the best thing they can do for him. Keep him on the left side, let him work, see where he lands.
I think what I saw him playing the right side seemed like he was getting off the snap really slow. I don't know if even when he played a little bit of guard, when he played a little tackle, he was just coming off the ball slow to where the ball was snapped and he was moving slow. So again, I don't know if that's the footwork problem going from the left to the right, but I saw them being slow there. I wonder, as big as he is, can he operate in that phone booth of a guard? I wonder, do we need the space on the left, as a left tackle to be able to maneuver because he's a big guy. And I, again, question big guys like that being guards on how much they can move in that phone booth.
Yeah, I think his story is one of those. Hey, you know what? We're gonna find out really soon what his trajectory is, but I just do not like what they did with him in Oakland. And Jordan just made a pretty good comment there. Just stick to one side. Just leave him alone, leave him at a position and let him work. And that's what you do when you got a guy that's been bouncing around. And that's the nature of this business, man. Offensive line coaches want guys that are versatile and flexible.
Mm-hmm.
He may be one of those guys that is rigid, and he needs to stay in one spot. You can either accept that or you can keep fucking around with it and ruin a guy. And that's what they're a danger of.
I agree, Nomad. But let me ask you, like, why did we put him at right tackle?
Just trying him. I think
link.
Just pushing and seeing if they can get something out of him. The Raiders weren't able to get out of him. I think that's probably the only way you can look at that.
I think that was our weakest
I agree. I totally agree. But I also think that, like, he looked bad at right tackle with the Raiders. Why do you put him back there? If you want to rebuild a guy, why do you give him PTSD back in the same position again?
I think, though, that the fact that they didn't have much time to work with him because we got him. Then he got sick with mono, I think it was. And so we didn't have a lot of time with him. And our right tackle, Borum and Riley Reeve, we didn't have enough talent there, so they wanted to give him a try. And that's why they tried it, because he is a first-round talent. But I think the ideal, like Nomad is saying, put him at left tackle. Have him and Braxton Jones battle out during training camp. See what happens. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I'd make him a swing tackle. Put him at left tackle. Let him learn. If you need him at right tackle, you put him in.
Well, I like to see what he can do at left tackle. I mean, maybe he can push Braxton to where Braxton has to sit the bench. I don't know. I mean, I really don't know, because I'm looking at it like he is a first-round talent for a reason. So I would like to see what he can actually do at left tackle during a whole training camp.
I agree.
Yeah. I just want to see him on the left side. If it's at tackle, if it's at guard, whichever one you land on, whichever one you like him, wherever you like him at on the left side, let it be. Leave it there. But also, while we're talking about those guys, I've been high on this dude since I watched him at the Senior Bowl last year. And they kept him on the 53-man roster and did not put him in the on the practice squad for any reason at all. Didn't play a snap all year until I think the last game or two. Ja'Tyre Carter, my Lord, that dude has an upside. This dude, he battles, man. I mean, I say battles, he battles. I seen him at the Senior Bowl, and I was like, whoa. I was only able to catch, portions of the Senior Bowl last year, practices, the game, and I seen little snippets here and there. But when they drafted him, that's when I dove in and I checked him out, and I'm just like, this dude's a dog.
I saved that comment from Larry T just for you, Nomad.
What's that?
We have Ja'Tyre Carter potentially fighting for a left guard spot also. And I think that you and I can both agree that he definitely has a chance to earn that position.
Put a rare piece of meat between him and another player and see who get it.
Well, let me ask you guys this. We just re-signed Dieter, who I don't think we are looking at as a center. I think we're looking at him as a left guard. So, to me, I think we got two developmental left guards. We've got white hair. And we keep talking about adding a fourth guy in the draft pretty high. I mean, what does that say about Carter? I mean, I love Carter, Nomad. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just curious, That's a crowded backfield at one offensive line position.
That I believe. Hold on, PJ. I'll let you have it after this. I believe that was it looks to me like a move ahead of maybe it's a possibility we might lose Sam Mustipher. If someone's going, yeah, if we need a backup, if he goes, and that to me that's the way I saw that. Go ahead, PJ.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say that I just think he's more of a camp signing because right now we have Lucas Patrick at center. We don't have a backup center because Kramer was injured last year and we don't know where he's at. So that's what I view him as. I think if we was to draft JMS, Dieter will be gone. I don't even think he'll make the practice squad this year.
Really?
I mean, I like him. I like him.
I like
center.
Dieter.
I like him at center, but I'm saying if we have Lucas Patrick at center, then we draft JMS, we're not going to carry a third center, and I don't see him sticking around because of the upside of Carter. And of course, it depends on what we do in free agency. Because again, I'm hoping for Samala. Is that his name? So again, if we solidify that, there's no spot for Dieter because
I think Dieter's a left guard. I think we signed Dieter to be a left guard, or re-signed him to be a left guard. And he's played left guard so far with this coaching staff. He hasn't played center.
Okay.
I'm just curious because to me it's like a crowded room at left guard, given who we got with Carter, Dieter, Whitehair. I agree. We upgrade and we upgrade at center.
If we upgrade,
but I'm just curious what the coaching staff thinks.
If you upgrade the center, do you not move Lucas Patrick to left guard? Because he's making what, $4 million, and Whitehair is what, $10 million? I think Whitehair's gone.
Patrick's on a cuttable contract. If we cut him, very little dead cap space. I actually think that Patrick will be the starting center, but we will draft someone behind Patrick because Patrick's got 1 year left. And if in training camp a rookie shows that he's better than Patrick is only $4 million. It's not a lot of money to have as insurance at a guard position or center position or whatnot. Now I'm just curious more. It's more about Carter. Like, I really like Carter. I think he was very raw, but he has all the tools. But I'm kind of at a wait and see as far as where the coaching staff sees where Carter is. I mean, he didn't play much this year. Didn't play much in preseason. So I'm kind of curious where they think Carter is at.
Well, I think, what Nomad said. I mean, the fact that they kept him on the 53-man roster all year, never put him to the practice squad. They're high on Carter because he came from a HBCU. I think he has to develop, and that's what he did this year. So coming this next year, I expect Whitehair to be gone and Dieter to be gone, and Carter will be the backup to who on the left side. I don't know, because in the trade scenario with Indianapolis, if they're offering up a player, question in my mind is, who do you want, Quentin Nelson or Buckner? I would take Nelson.
I agree.
To argue, not to argue, but actually to agree with PJ. And then I'll just look at what history told me. History told me they saw Ja'Tyre Carter pretty much 90% at left guard in the Senior Bowl, and that's why they drafted him. They love what they saw at the Senior Bowl, him at left guard. What happened this year was, okay, we see some things that we need to fix with him. Let's just keep him on the 53. And I'm just thinking like a coach would think. Let's keep him on the 53 and just work with him. Let's give him all the right side reps, and let's see where he goes on the right side as opposed to the left. We know what he can do on the left. Let's put him on the right side and see how high his ceiling is on that side. Let's wait until the end of the season and give him a couple of reps towards the end when we're getting ready to wrap the season up. And I saw what I needed to see out of him. And I don't know if anybody was paying attention to him like I was. I was waiting like a MF for him to just get some snaps. And when he did get his opportunities, he did it. He did everything he needed to do, in my eyes, on the right side to tell me that they think that he could be a swing guard from either. So to PJ's argument, it's a possibility they could be looking at him as a swing guard. He could be a starter or not. He could be a backup as well and go from either side and be valuable to them on both sides of that. So that's the way I see it. I agree with PJ.
And I feel you got to keep
I
in
agree
mind,
with you, Nomad.
We still got Kramer. I mean, my question becomes, what is Poles going to do with Kramer? Is he going to give up on him already? I don't think so.
I can't wait to see. I've been looking. I need to follow him on Twitter just to see what he's been looking like. Is he getting stronger? Because usually when you have an injury that sits you back a year, usually when you come out on the other side of that, you're bigger, you're stronger, you're faster. And that's usually the case for every player that sits out a year. You're gonna come out of that injury stronger somewhere. And I think his body type was lacking. He was light, but very good technically. Very, very good technically. So I just want to see him be able to get up to 305, 310. So I'm eager to see what he looks like coming into the season.
I think, being that it was a foot injury, I don't know how much stronger his legs are going to be.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be a problem, because that was, the problem we had with Grassu. Once he messed up his knee, he was done. I mean, it took him, he could never get this strength, and he was already light to begin with. I think Kramer's going to run into the same problem this first year back, because I don't think will be able to put in enough time to work his legs to get them stronger because of the foot injury.
Tell you what, PJ, if they grab a center in this drive, you'll know everything you need to know.
I agree. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking because Getsy got a good close look at JMS. I think that's who they're going to be targeting in the second round. I really believe it.
Shit, if he makes it to the second round, that's a miracle.
Yeah, that's true too. That's true too.
All right. You know what, man? For our debut episode of Open Mic, I think we smacked the home run, not out of the we hit this bad boy out the park. In my opinion, I think we killed it. I think we can keep going on and on and on all night, to be honest with you, because that's how passionate we are about football and about the Bears in particular. So I just want to say to everybody, PJ, J2K, Swifty, and everybody in the chat, man, I so appreciate you guys. This was a really a brain baby of both me and Mr. Shorty. We both had a concept that we approached Aldo with, and I think what Aldo did was marry him. He seen that Mr. Shorty and I had, even though we're funny on screen, we get into it off screen. That's just the truth. But somehow or another, we find a middle ground, and when it's time to perform and turn on the live, we come together and we do it well. And I thank the bar room. I thank Aldo. I thank you guys so much. And I need you guys to keep bringing that same energy, because this is only the debut. We're out here on training wheels. We're going to take the training wheels off and really get busy later. So PJ, J2K, man, I love you guys, man. I appreciate you guys so much.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Nomad. You too, PJ. Yeah, appreciate you, Dan, Shorty.
Only gripe I got is I don't want to be the only person on the screen next time.
You did it though, man. You tore it up though,
incognito.
Hey, PJ, for somebody that just walked into this shit and just decided, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I don't know what you've done elsewhere, but for the bar room, for the first time, you putting your face out there, man, dude, you tore this shit up, dude.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Make no mistakes about that. You killed it.
Yeah, you did.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Time to come in here, Mr. Shorty.
You guys have been killing it, man. I'm just sitting back and letting the show go because the show is about you guys. Really, I'm just kind of sitting here. Nomad and Shorty had a baby.
Hey,
I'm just trying to pull on the chat here and just keep this, really I'm enjoying the conversation that you guys are having because this is open mic night. It's not about me. It's really not even about Nomad. It's about everybody else here that wants to be part of the show. But you guys are loving talking to Nomad. So I'm just.
Is there any questions in the chat that y'all want us to answer?
I do. I have one thing I have here for you, PJ, is Laz says he wants you to say something. I think this goes back to the Mike Singletary section of the show when you sounded like Mike Singletary. So Laz wants you to say this. I like this kind of party. Say
I like
Mike
this
Singletary.
kind of party.
Wait, one more time. Do it.
I like this kind of party.
Oh yeah, I like this kind of party.
Come on, that was third time's a charm. Give it your oof. One more time.
I like this kind of party.
Me too.
All right, I'm gonna top you, PJ. I'm gonna show you how to do it. Oh yeah, I like this kind of party.
No, man, I gotta hear you say, "There's hope, guys. There's hope." I gotta hear you say that. I gotta hear it.
Guys, there is hope. Guys, there is hope.
Oh man.
I remember that guy's face, man. I remember that dude's face, man. He was a black dude. I remember that.
Yeah, he was. I think his name was Gary Williams. I think.
Was he a coach? Was he?
I don't know who he was, but he popped up. I'm telling you, your voice is just like, "There's hope, guys. I'm telling you, there's hope." I'm like, oh man, if this ain't Nomad.
I wish I had I wish I would have been prepared for this. I would have had the audio for Bebop Cowboys or Cowboy Bebop, where Nomad like perfectly said the line from this character up in the top left in that show. He nailed it. It was awesome. We do have some more. Go ahead.
Believe it or not, people tend to compare me with Denzel Washington a lot. I don't know why, but they do. And I'm like, they say I have mannerisms like Denzel Washington, but I look like Courtney Vance. And then they say I walk like Denzel Washington. I'm like, where y'all get this stuff from?
I see it though, man. That's not off, man. I'm just telling you, PJ, that ain't off, man.
I'm like, man, okay.
I see and hear all that.
Both of you guys have been fucking amazing tonight. J2K, PJ, and Swifty, everyone tonight has been, and it's been an absolute pleasure having you guys on the show. PJ, you sound like you need your own show with Nomad.
I don't think I can keep up with Nomad. He's one of a kind.
Hey man, anything's possible, man. Anything is possible.
Anything's possible. There was like some of the things that I saved. Jordan Silvera says, I dig the slow, lax pace of this conversation. It works good work, fellas. So we thank you for the compliments, Jordan. For the first night of a show, I think this has gone exceptionally well, and I just can't thank everyone enough. Go ahead.
I think that one thing that we were able to do with all of us here is able to voice our opinions and thoroughly get our opinions out there. And that's why it's like a slow pace to where it's not hurry up and jumping up to the next topic, but able to go into detail why we feel what we feel. And I think that helps because then you can get a better understanding instead of just throwing something out there and then moving on to another topic.
Mm-hmm. And I also haven't been like jumping in with my pontifications too, which kind of slows that down.
And you know what, man? This next week, I'll pour more into it. He'll pour more into it, and it'll be more. It's gonna get nothing but better. It's gonna get nothing but better. This shit's gonna get fired up. I promise you that. All the people that have so many things to say, and I'm one of them. I just happen to be a host on the show, but we're gonna pour more into this, and it's gonna get way better than what we just did in this debut. I can promise you.
And PJ and J2K, you guys can join the show again next week. There's room for a couple more. We can pull you guys. So what we have here is two guys that don't have a camera on them and one guy that, or two guys that do, right? But I'm trying to just let you guys talk. So when I pull myself up,
I'm the star of the show.
Right. So if we add someone else, it'll look something like this. You'll see the two side by side, right?
Of all the guys in the chat, I never thought it would be PJ that would be one that would let us nut swing and say, you know what, I do this shit. I'll do this shit well. PJ, man, hey, man, much respect to you, man.
Hats off
much
to you.
respect to you.
I figured I'd give it a try. This is my first time actually hopping on a podcast, so
that was going to be my next
try.
You nailed it, man. Other than the technical difficulties, which is what we were trying to work out in the beginning, but you know what happened was when you were sending the email, it was going to spam, but I couldn't find it.
Okay.
And when I found it, I thought I sent it, but I hadn't actually sent the press the button send. So I'm like, where the fuck is he? Oh, I have to press send. So difficulty on my end too. I apologize for that. Had I pressed send on time, you would have gotten in to have the mic check done. And here's my advice to anybody that wants to come on the show. No matter what device you're using, if it's Wi-Fi, reset your internet, your router and your modem, and then jump on to the show. And we'll do a mic check beforehand. We can get you in, get everything set up so we don't have any technical difficulties when we start the show. That's the last thing we want, right? So it's about production. And I think once we got the production going, you guys slayed it, man. You guys have been doing great. I do have a question that I would like to pose from you that I had saved from Cliff Victoria that I'd like you guys to answer, because I see some potential in this too. Although one of the players, I can't remember his name now, but Nomad had pointed out to me he's more of a starter than he is a kick returner, punt returner. But Cliff asks, what do you guys see as, or who do you guys see as a potential kick returner, punt returner this year? Someone on the team, or maybe a draft pick, or maybe a free agency signing? I'm just curious to know what you guys have to say about that.
I'll go last.
Well, I think I showed you last night in the previews of some of these draft picks. If he's not on the team as far as a punt returner or a kick returner, I think Velus is fine at kick returner. He's perfect at kick returner, punting the ball to him, and his hands and how the ball moves around in the air on punts. That's different. I don't trust him there right now. But kick returning, I think he's fine. But the guy that I showed you guys last night, the receiver, Malik Knowles,
the tall guy.
Did you? Yeah. He's got everything you want, doesn't he?
I don't know how well tall people translate in the NFL with the shiftiness. Seems like in college you're able to get away with it more, but I don't know how shifty he'll be as a punt returner in the NFL.
That I can't argue with, but I will. I got some other guys for you.
Go ahead, J2K, to answer the question.
Yeah, man. I agree with Nomad. Velus Jones, I think he's a good kick returner. But yeah, that punt return, not really there. And this brings me to the guy who I absolutely love in this draft. That's Marvin Mims from Oklahoma, wide receiver. He is a fantastic punt returner. He's the number one wide receiver in this class yards after the catch and yards after contact, or number 2, yards after contact. So yeah, Marvin Mims is my guy.
And
All right.
really quick before I got to run out of here, man. Be honest with you, but I want you guys. It's a little homework assignment. It's a little challenge while we're talking about kick and punt returns. There's a guy. I'm a Florida State fan. I ain't gonna lie to you. I love Florida State. Love the University of Illinois, but I've been in love with Florida State for a long time. They have a receiver by the name of Ontario Wilson, Pokey Wilson. If you guys aren't familiar with him, do your homework before the next Barrier of Souls overtime, because I'm going to put him right in your face. This dude, you're talking about punt return, kick return, receiver, just put the damn ball in his hands. This dude is, I think, between him and Zay Flowers, the best all-around receivers in the draft. And Pokey Wilson didn't even get invited to the combine.
Wow. But
when you're done, if you're willing to put the time in, if you have the time, please do that. And you will understand what I mean when you're done watching his game. This dude is something else.
All right, I have a
Don't they also have Justin Shorter?
Who?
Justin Shorter?
No, that's Florida. I'm talking about Florida State.
Shorter. Oh, okay. No, you're right.
All right, my confession is I am truly a Bears homer. What I mean by that is every player we draft, I want us to keep. So to answer this question, my ideal punt returner, Daz Newsome. Bring him back. Kick returner, Bayless Jones. I am a true homer.
I'm right
That's
there.
my disclaimer. That's my disclaimer. I want our team to be out of 53, like 50 of them are drafted players. That's how much of a homer I am.
And you want to see them all retire a Bear?
Yes, I do. I mean, because you got to understand, I started being a Bears fan in 1969.
Good year.
Yeah, so when I was a Bears fan that young, I'm watching Gale Sayers, Dick Butkus, and all these guys retire as a Bear. So this age of free agency came, blew me away, took me back. But I always go back to, I want to see our players retire a Bear. So if I had it my way, I would bring back Eddie Goldman. I think he'd be a great one technique. I really do. But whether or not the desire to play football is still there is a question mark. But also bring back Bilal Nichols to be my 3 technique, as well as drafting somebody else. Don't get me wrong, but that's the mindset I have. I want Bear players, Bear drafted players. That's who I want. I think the only one I don't want back is Charles Leno.
You know what, man? I got it just real quick, and I'm done, man. This is why I love our fan base, because we love. I mean, I think we love our guys to a fault sometimes, but I'm not mad at our fans for that. That I see that in PJ and his answers even before he came on this show. In his answers, I could sense that this dude loves. Once you become a Bear, you're a Bear for life.
Bear for life.
You're a Bear for life, and I appreciate that shit so much, man.
Yeah, I mean, because I started watching Bears because back then in the 60s, you only get like 2 channels or 3 channels, and only 2 channels have showed football. So I watched the Bears every Sunday. So we watched the Bears play, Gale Sayers, Dick Butkus, and we go outside across the street to the park and play football and mimic what we saw on TV just then. That was our Sundays like. So that's what I'm saying. That's the era I come from. So always being a Bears fan, I'm always taking interest in the Bears drafted players, because I think the last jersey I bought was Roquan Smith. And you see he's gone now.
Yeah. Doesn't that burn you, buying a jersey and they're gone?
And that's why I'm like, why in the world would anybody buy a jersey anymore? Because you're not even guaranteed that the player's going to be there. So why spend $100 and something on a jersey and the player's going to be gone in 2 or 3 years?
Unless you're going to
Doesn't make sense to me.
It's a bad investment unless you just
exactly. And that's why, you know, that's why I'm so partial to our own drafted players. Like I said, if I had it my way, 50 of our players would be our Bears drafted players.
I have a buddy that he feels the same way. He doesn't buy jersey. Like, he only owns a Dick Butkus and I think maybe a Brian Urlacher jersey. And I made the mistake of buying a fucking Trubisky jersey and a Cutler jersey. I actually took the Cutler jersey out and I burnt it in the fire pit. They got rid of him. Don't tell Dan Aguirre that. but I bought the Trubisky jersey and I went to a game. I think it was in Chicago, and somebody had a Trubisky jersey, and they literally just put masking tape over the Trubisky, and they wrote with a marker in terrible handwriting, Claypool. I was like, I guess that's what I'll do with my Trubisky jersey, because what else am I going to do with it? Like,
yeah, I'm telling you. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Ridiculously take off the name, you know, the stitching, and then add a new one. Yeah.
Oh, I'm telling you, because my favorite Bear of all time was Tommy Harris. And, you know, he had a short-lived career because of injury. And it's like I think I have a total of 10 Bear jerseys. And none of them I think I really got my money out of. Right. It's like, because I bought a Mac jersey for my grandson. And, you know, he's like a junior in high school. And he wore it like one time. And I'm like, wow, just blowing money. Then Eddie Jackson, I bought his number 39 for my other grandson. Then he changed to number 4.
But to the Mac jersey, you thought when you were buying that, you're like, this guy's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's going to retire a Bear, right?
Right.
He might never make the Hall of Fame now.
I'm telling you, man. It's like, wow. So, yeah.
I hear you. J2K, any jerseys?
I got 2 jerseys. I got a Brian Urlacher jersey. It's actually signed. That was given to me. And I have a Mike Singletary jersey, and me and my dad have gotten to wear that together at 3 games. So pretty happy about that.
Man.
Yeah, I have an Urlacher jersey too. It's the early 2000s. It's like a 2004 or something version of it. It's the actual jersey where you should have the pads on, so it's really oversized, you know. It's
right.
Yeah.
It is the jersey. It was given to me as a gift, but it was like a $350 jersey. But now you get the ones from China, and it takes like 3 months to get it shipped to your house, you know.
I'm not buying no more jerseys. I'm not. Like I said, I got about 10 of them, and none of them still on the Bears. So
let me pose this question: would you guys, all of you, would you buy a Justin Fields jersey?
Yes.
I like it. It's funny because we see PJ nodding.
Really?
Yes.
I don't have confidence that players today will stay long enough with a team to be worth the investment.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my only reason. I mean, I love Fields. I just don't think, for whatever reason, he'll be there for the next 15 years. I don't believe that.
I have hope.
I hope. Yes.
Go ahead, J2K.
No, I got hope. I got hope, and I got optimism on Fields.
I have hope, but I'm not willing to risk $100 on it.
All right.
You see that comment? Did you guys see that?
What, Ravi?
Hey,
No,
Ravi.
Ravi's in the chat.
Ravi's in that.
I was trying to highlight Triple R's comment, but I messed up.
Catches with hands, great separation.
Oh, he's talking about Pokey.
Yeah. When you guys, if you take the time, you're gonna see. I ain't gonna have to tell you shit. You're gonna see for yourself.
Hey, Nomad, do you have any jerseys?
Do I have any jerseys?
Yes, sir.
No, I don't wear no man's name on my back. No, I don't do that. I mean, I love those guys, man. I'll tell you one thing. My niece got me a Devin Hester jersey because she saw how hyped I was when he got here. I was over there at that camp in Bourbonnais, man. I'm telling you, I knew right away I knew him. I saw him in college. And I knew when I was like, oh my God, we got a game changer.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, my niece got me that. I was never going to buy it. And she told me, she said, you wasn't going to never get it. So I got it for you.
There you go.
And I kept it.
Cool.
What a sweetheart. So that's your only one, huh?
It's the only one.
Good for you, man.
Somebody bought me I take that back. Somebody got me a retro Mike Singletary jersey, and I got that basically in a case.
Nice. Well, guys, what do you guys think of the show tonight so far? How do you feel about this? Is this a great concept? You guys get to come on and speak your minds.
I love the flow.
Yeah, I
love the flow.
Yeah. You guys have been great guests.
Well, thank you.
I need you to wrap it though, because I got to get out of here.
We should get out of here then.
I got trouble.
All right. Well, PJ, J2K, you know that you are welcome on this show anytime if you want to join it next week, just to get this ball rolling, to give everyone confidence to come in the show. You are more than welcome to. We can fit a couple more people in here. I'll be, kind of in the background, giving you some pontificating questions because, PJ, you did your own share of pontificating tonight. I'm not the only pontificator. I
got one last question though.
Are you pontificating one last question?
One last question.
Sure.
If you guys can tell me your favorite bear of all time.
I'll go last.
No, you go first.
Walter. One name only, Walter.
Go, Jay. J2K, it's you.
All right, man. So a little history for me as a Bears fan. My grandpa was from Chicago. I did not grow up in Chicago. I was born in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And when we drafted Brian Urlacher, I lost my fucking shit.
I bet you did.
And that guy became one of the greatest linebackers I've ever witnessed in my lifetime.
Wow.
Brian Urlacher has a special place in my heart, man.
I can understand that.
I met him once.
What?
Yes. True story.
Nice.
I pulled him over.
What? For an autograph on a ticket?
No.
You don't see that in the background. He's a cop.
Ticket for speeding.
No, what happened was I got a call of a guy parked in the alley. So I see this Mercedes-Benz parked in the alley, right? Because, in our city, you can't park in the alley.
Yeah.
So I walk up to the car. I look in there. It was, he was sitting there. I was like, hey, what's up, Brian? He's like, oh. I was like, man. I said, what you doing here? He's like, oh, my brother's playing for the some arena league football team. I forgot what it was, but it was in our city. And I'm like, okay. So I said, I think, so we got to talk about football. I said, I like your running mates in Holman and Colvin. He says, well, I got this guy sitting beside me who I think is going to be better. It was Lance Briggs.
What?
Right. I was like, at the time, I didn't know who he was. I'm like, oh, okay. I said, I still like Holman and Colvin, though.
Uh-huh. Back in Rosie Coleman and War Coleman days?
Yes.
So he was like in his first or second year then?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was real young. That's why I was like, okay, all right.
Was that before his brother? That must have been before his brother was on the team or after his brother? Because remember his brother was on the team for a bit?
Yeah, I think because he came down and started playing in arena football. And I think it was before his brother came down. So his brother must have played with the arena football first, then went to the Bears. But yeah, I did meet him. I mean, I met actually a few Bears. I mean, I met my favorite, Tommy Harris. And, you know, I tried to get him to give me because he signed his autograph on a pair of shoes and gave it to somebody in the crowd at Bourbon A. So I was asking him for one of these wristbands. And it said "In God We Trust" or something like that. He said, "Oh man, I can't let you have this one. This one's near and dear to my heart." I'm like, all right. Then I met Mike Brown as well. So yeah, I met a few. As a matter of fact, my son played against Sherrick McManus because Sherrick McManus is from my hometown here. And they played against each other in high school.
Oh, wow. Hometown where? Where are you at?
Peoria.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So
have you ever heard my story?
Mm-mm.
I back in the 90s, I had press passes. So
Okay.
I got to go to every single home game, and when I was at the game, I got to go on the field. I got to go into the locker room. It was amazing. It was like a 3-year period, and
Wow.
we got to sit in the press box. I sat next to Andrea Kramer, and all Mark Giangreco, all the sports people, and one day I finally said, I'm going to go into the locker room. I have the rights to do this. My press pass says I can do this, right? And I'll never forget it. It was a loss, and I think it was P.T. Willis that was sitting outside the locker room with his helmet in his hands, just down up against the wall, still in his uniform, just taking in that loss. And I remember seeing him, and I hung a left, and I walked into the locker room, and I was like 20, maybe 22 years old. I just wasn't even preparing myself for all the dicks I would see swinging everywhere, So I walked in the room. I was like, whoa, yeah, that's right. Everyone's naked. And I turned around and I go to walk out. Dave Wanstead is right there. And he's like 6'10" to me at the time. I'm 6'2". But he was tall. I look up at him and he's like, "What are you doing here, kid?" And I'm like, "I have a press pass." And he's like, "Are you part of the media?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "Get out of here." I'm like, "Yes, I'm getting out of here." So that was my one. Our Triple R says BBC's to my left, BBC's to my right.
Just as long as you ain't got nobody grabbing your junk like Dan Aguirre.
Exactly. Oh man, well, you guys ready to wrap this up? I think Nomad left. Nomad's out of here. He had to leave.
Yeah, no, he had a situation going on.
But you guys, I mean, seriously, you guys are the show. You have made the show. You have been the entire show. We appreciate you. You are always welcome back every show if you want. So you guys have the email. Just let us know when you want to join us. I mean, with the popularity of this might have to happen every Wednesday, but we are planning on it being every other Wednesday. But we'll just have to see what happens going forward from here. We'll see what the reaction is. So
will you announce it on Bare Their Souls? On what day you're gonna have it? The following day.
So if we skip it next Wednesday and we do it the following Wednesday, we'll probably announce it on Bare Their Souls on Tuesday. But I mean, you guys have been the show. And that's, if you look down on the bottom left or the bottom right, you are the show. So, man, you guys have been amazing. I mean, I really want to thank you for joining us. Anything you want to say for your last parting words?
Go ahead, J2K.
Yeah, I've had a good time. PJ, it is great to talk to you in person. And I haven't been able to see the chat all night, but I know it sounds like they're going off. So I think that's awesome. And Shorty, I think it's a great show. I think you should do it once a week. And I'd be happy to be back.
Awesome. Thank you. I know. This is funny because I was doing Bears Country podcast and Aldo kind of just brought me on to be a bigger part of the bar room. And he came to me with this idea. And I had been working on this with you, J2K. We had been working on this, PJ. We did a bunch of trial. We did a trial run to make sure things worked, and we were going to do this on Bears Country Podcast. And then Aldo came to me and said, "Open mic concept. Can you spearhead that?" And I was like, "Wait, either you're like spying on me, or somebody told you something, or it's just fucking great minds think alike." And I said, "I think it must be great minds think alike." So, and he was like, "Well, no, if you've been working on this and this is your idea, you should do it on your show." I said, "No, there are far more people watching this on the Barroom Network. Let's spearhead this on the Barroom Network, and let's make this work." And the fact that you guys hopping on tonight, some technical difficulties with you in the beginning, PJ, but like I said, just reset everything before you jump on a show. That should set your show straight. So, I mean, I think this has been a great idea. J2K agreed when we were first working on the concept together, and PJ, you jumping in, Swifty making the show. It's been amazing. Just kudos.
Yeah, I love watching Swifty videos. But yeah, I do want to thank you guys for allowing me to come on. It's great talking to you, J2K, putting a voice with the people I see in chat. I enjoy it. I love talking football. I don't know everything, but like I said, I'm a true homer when it comes to the Bears. And I just like talking Bears, and I enjoyed it. I truly did. I think the way you guys had this thing set up tonight was good. I apologize for my bad connection, but I love the way you guys did that. And you guys make me feel welcome, so I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. You are definitely welcome. It's been a freaking great show, man. Seriously. Love you all. Thank you all for joining us tonight on the first episode of Bears Barroom Open Mic Night. And we will see you guys again, I don't know, maybe next Wednesday?
Yeah.
Maybe. Until then, I'm gonna end my I like to end my episodes when I'm hosting them with my traditional Bears Country Podcast ending, which is Bears. So I'm gonna do that. If you guys want to join me, you can. I'm gonna give it on a 1, 2, 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Bears.
Bears.
Nice face.